My honor to be on your show. And thank you for all you do. I hear the ripple effects from you are good ripple effects. You know what I mean? People rave about what they learn from you. So congratulations.
I'm Dan Honan with Custom Automation Technologies in Columbus, Ohio. And one of the best things he's done for us is to get us ranked high on Google searches. We've more than doubled the number of calls we get from Google searches. And the best thing, though, is that people that call us now are people that are truly interested in hiring us. They're not just kicking the tire and looking around and that kind of thing. So it's been a really good thing for us to get highly ranked on Google. Thanks, Clay.
What I've seen from Clay and his group at Thrive is they'll give you a simple system. And it's the simple systems are the ones that people can wrap their brain around. They're the ones that people can work with on a day-to-day basis.
All right, Jason, on today's show, it's a special Valentine's edition of the Thrivetime show.
Oh, yeah.
And as my way to express my love for the Thrive Nation, I'm going to share with them a book that changed my life, or an author that changed my life. The book, Think and Grow Rich, written by Napoleon Hill, changed my life, so much so I named my son Aubrey Napoleon Hill.
That's true.
So without any further ado, we're breaking down words of wisdom from Napoleon Hill.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrivetime Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we 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 show you.
Yes, 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 and yes. Thrive Nation, I'm not sure when you're going to hear this show, if you're going to hear it in the morning, or you're going to hear it at night, but I can tell you I'm recording this show for you on this incredible Valentine's Day. On the day of yet another Patriots football game, I'm super excited. I'm wearing my Gunnar Olszewski jersey as the Patriots get prepared tonight at 7:20 Central Standard Time to play the Houston Texans, and what will be an incredible game. And even though everything about watching the Patriots is probably something you don't care about, the reason why I like sharing with you about the Patriots is there are so many management mastery tips you can learn from their head coach, Bill Belichick. There are so many parallels to running an NFL team that are very similar to running a small business. And it is absolutely possible for you to learn something from Bill Belichick each and every time you hear a reference to him on these shows. But as much as I love Bill Belichick, the person who's made the biggest impact on my life and my business philosophy by far is Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill is the best-selling self-help author who famously worked for free for Andrew Carnegie, the world's wealthiest man during his lifetime, because he wanted to learn the secrets of super success. Jason, think about that for a second. Imagine, how old are you right now?
I am 26.
Imagine you went today, you went home, and because Napoleon Hill was about this age.
Right.
And you went and talked to your wife. For the listeners out there who don't know your wife, well, what is your wife's first name?
Her name is Alexis.
And how long have you two been together?
Going on 5 years, married for 3 months as of the end of November.
So imagine this. Imagine that you went home today and you said to your wife, you said, "Hey, babe, here's the deal." She says, "How was the podcast?" You go, "Oh, it's good. It's good. But here's the deal. I have agreed to work for free for Bill Gates." Or in this case, it's Andrew Carnegie. But Andrew Carnegie was the world's wealthiest man during his lifetime. Yep. Bill's the world's wealthiest right now. As of today, he just passed Jeff Bezos with a net worth of $110 billion as of last week. But you said, "Babe, I've been thinking it over, and we're going to move out there to the Seattle area, and we're going to go work for Bill Gates for free for 10 years." And she says, how's that going to go over?
She would be very confused. She would say, "I don't understand what you're saying or why you're saying it." So,
and you'd say, "Hey, listen, I wanted to learn how to become super successful, and Bill Gates agreed to let me work for him for free for a decade, and he promised he's going to introduce me to the who's who of the business game. So I'm going to meet, I'm going to meet the head people at Apple. I'm going to meet Tim Cook. I'm going to meet Mark Zuckerberg. I'm going to get to include all of these interviews in my book. But I've got to commit to working for free for a decade. Now, here's what he's going to do. He is going to give me access to these people, but I've got to work for free for a decade. How would that conversation go over?
It would make a lot of sense to me, but I guarantee you she would say you're a crazy person.
Oh, look who just hopped in. Dr. Breck just hopped in. Can we, Jason, can you adjust their mics so we can get them all set up?
Yeah.
We're talking about Napoleon Hill and the notable quotables from Napoleon Hill. But again, the premise of Think and Grow Rich is that Napoleon Hill wanted to learn how to become super successful, and he was able to do it as a result of agreeing to work for free for Andrew Carnegie. And that would be the equivalent of Jason Beasley working for free for Bill Gates. How long would your wife allow you to work for free for Bill Gates? I mean, honestly, with this current marriage dynamic, you said, hey, they're going to cover our room and board. How long would the free thing work out?
I give it about 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay. Yeah. So Napoleon Hill did this for years, which is, by the way, why Napoleon Hill didn't stay married very long, multiple times.
That makes sense.
And by the way, Jason is attempting to be ambidextrous. He's fixing the microphones
I got
for
to run
Dr.
over there real
Breck
quick.
and for Bucky Cordray while also doing a show. But we're talking about Napoleon Hill quotes, and we're breaking down the words of wisdom of Napoleon Hill. Dr. Breck, how are you doing this morning, my friend? Are you did you have a good Saturday?
I did, yeah.
Hey,
how are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Hey, have you read a lot of Napoleon Hill throughout your life?
Not a lot, but yeah, I've read Think and Grow Rich.
Are you wearing a Magnolia Market hat?
I am.
Did you go down to Waco?
No, my wife went.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love that hat.
So I got the swag, and she got the trip.
Do you like the Fixer Upper show?
I actually do, yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Jason, you're getting your mic all set up. Bucky, how you doing, my friend?
Good, Clay. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to talk to you guys about Napoleon Hill, and then we're going to be deep diving into the world of buying homes with Bucky Cordray. It's going to be a laser show. Show today. So here we go. So, but I want to ask you this, Dr. Breck. Imagine that your chiropractic business, drbreck.com, is doing well. Imagine that you went to your wife today and said, babe, I have an opportunity to work for the modern day Andrew Carnegie. I'm talking about working for the world's wealthiest man, and he's going to give me access to all the world's wealthiest people so that I can put together a book documenting what I've learned. The book's going to be called Think and Grow Rich. The only catch is I had to agree to work for free for a decade. How would that conversation go over? Seriously, how would that go over?
I think it would have gone okay until you said for a decade.
For a decade?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I mean, we've got some money in savings. I think she thinks we're secure and we're okay for a while, but I don't think she thinks we're okay for a decade.
Do you, Bucky, would that seem reasonable? Have you read Think and Grow Rich?
I have, Clay.
Would that seem reasonable for you to work for free for the world's wealthiest man for a decade in order to have access to all of his wisdom?
I mean, it absolutely would, but being able to commit a whole decade for free
my gosh.
is
This just in, that's a lot of time. Jason Beasley, so right away, the premise of Think and Grow Rich is that he went and worked for free for the world's wealthiest people to gain access to Henry Ford, to Thomas Edison, to Andrew Carnegie, and but the agreement was he had to work for free for a decade. Mm-hmm. So nobody in this room so far could probably pull that move off. But in the event we did, and we did have access to the world's wealthiest people for over a decade, and we did distill that knowledge into a book, I would think that the things in the book are probably things that we should know.
It's true.
So, Jason, go ahead. On today's show, we're going to break down 6 notable quotables from Napoleon Hill before we get into all things real estate with Bucky Cordray.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Napoleon Hill, quote number 1. What say you, sir?
The development of self-confidence starts with the elimination of this demon called fear, which sits upon a man's shoulders, whispering into his ear, you can't do it. You're afraid to try. You're afraid of public opinion. You're afraid that you will fail. You are afraid that you have not the ability.
Read it again, because I'm going to make sure that all the listeners can really soak it in here.
Yeah.
Let me get it queued up. Go read it one more time, and I'll provide some echoes.
Alrighty. The development of self-confidence starts with the elimination of this demon called fear, which sits upon a man's shoulder, whispering into his ear, you can't do it. You're afraid to try. You're afraid of public opinion. You are afraid that you will fail. You are afraid that you have not the ability.
Let's think about that for a second. Dr. Breck, when you started drbreck.com, was it scary?
It was, yeah.
Why?
I mean, you got a lot on the line. I had spent a lot of time invested in school and education, had a lot of big ideas and nothing to show for them initially unfortunately, for way too long. But, yeah, I think there's high expectations. There's a lot of people counting on me. And, yeah, to me, that's a little bit scary.
A little bit scary?
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this here. What were other areas of growing drbreck.com that were scary? Was offering a no-brainer deal a scary proposition? Was that scary?
There were aspects of it that were, for sure. That oftentimes you said people are concerned that it cheapens their brand. And so that was one of the hurdles I had to overcome.
Yeah.
I'm a person who also had to overcome the idea that I needed to please everyone. And, that's just been a big part of my nature growing up.
Yeah.
Was kind of a people pleaser. And so I had to kind of come to terms with that and get over that.
Was it scary for you, Bucky, getting involved in real estate, the buying of – because you have maybe I'm getting this wrong, but I'll explain this to the listeners. You buy distressed properties that, let's say if I'm listening to the show right now and I'm going through a divorce or a terrible thing, maybe I took a new job somewhere, something has happened where I'm stuck with a distressed piece of real estate and I need to sell it. You guys go in there and buy these houses. Am I correct?
That's correct, Clay.
You've been doing this for how long?
20 years.
20 years? 20 years you've been doing this? Wow. So was it scary getting started?
I was kind of young and dumb when I first got into this, so I didn't have as much fear. It seems like as we get older, we have more fear because we have more so-called risk, you could say. Like,
it's interesting.
About fear of starting over. But, yeah, the initial step into it was just, what am I going to do? If I get a contract on this house, is it right? Did I buy it right? All those things doubt you the whole time that you're going through those transactions. So each time you do it, it's a little bit easier. So you overcome that fear.
So you think it gets easier each time that you buy or sell a property?
Absolutely.
Do you remember the first property you bought?
I do.
What did you buy? Was it a shack? A chateau?
It was a Smurf house.
Really?
Yeah, it was painted bright Smurf blue. It looked like Papa Smurf without the red hat.
Are you being serious?
I'm dead serious.
What were the circumstances surrounding this first property you bought?
So this house had set on the market. It had been pulled off the market 2 different times. It was 3 years empty, vacant home. And nobody wanted to buy it. And I guess because nobody liked Papa Smurf.
So how did you hear about the property?
So I worked with a mentor, actually.
Okay.
I was 19 years old, and I really didn't know for sure how to get into the real estate business. And I found a local investor and a realtor. He was very aggressive in the marketplace. He had done a lot of properties.
Yep.
And he kind of took me under his wing. And I did what he said. I looked at 100 different properties, and we kept circling back to this one.
How much did the initial property cost? Do you remember?
$26,000 was the offer price, or for the price that they were wanting to sell it for.
26?
26.
And what did you buy it for?
I bought it for 16.
Wow. 16. And were you scared out of your mind when you bought that thing?
It was a pretty big risk. I mean, $16,000 is not a lot of money today.
Did you have another job at that point?
I didn't. I mean, I was, in between. I was full time in school,
okay.
So I was in college. I knew that if I could get 2 roommates, I wouldn't have to worry about the mortgage payment. So.
Where did you go to school at?
Pittsburgh State University up in Kansas, Pittsburgh, Kansas.
Okay, so you went to college, and then you got involved in the real estate game when you were how old approximately?
19. I just moved. I was moving out of the fraternity house and wanted to have my own place. And
Breck, didn't you get a good deal on your house you live in now?
I did.
How good of a deal did you get, Breck?
I think we got it at about $45 a square foot.
Get out of here.
I think that's right.
And it probably should have appraised for, what, $110 a square foot? Or
conservatively, probably about 100.
Oh, you're sick. You're sick. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, and were you scared the first time you bought an undervalued property? Were you worried about it?
The first house we bought was probably more of a typical, it was a decent value, but not phenomenal. This one, we knew, like I said, my wife and I, we like to watch these shows where people fix up houses and things. She's got a good design eye, and I'm just handy enough. There are many things I won't tackle myself, but I like a house with character. We could see good bones and some things that we would want to do to put our own fingerprint on the house. And so we were only considering foreclosures some somewhat distressed properties, bank repos and different things that we could get a deal and then put some money into it to make it our own.
How do you make money, Bucky, when you buy these properties undervalued? For the listeners out there that don't know, how do you make money? I mean, Top Dollar is your business. You guys you buy property. This is what you do. But how do you actually make money?
So there's really 3 avenues that we focus on. One is either it falls into our portfolio that we're going to keep the property. So depending on how we buy that property, we always have to go back and look at how it's going to cash flow, meaning that how much money do we get in above and beyond any expenses on that property.
Okay.
Sometimes we have investors we work with, and they are looking for certain properties. And when we run across those properties, we will flip those over to them for an assignment fee or a small fee to them.
So you're saying that you will buy a property, and you can make money in a couple ways. One, you could just sell it.
Mm-hmm.
But 2, you could just service the mortgage. You could be paying making the payment while renting it to somebody else.
That's correct.
And then the difference between what you pay on your mortgage and what you get paid from the renters, where you make cash flow.
That's correct.
Is there any other way you can make money with the property?
So sometimes we'll fix up the property and resell it.
Okay.
So we'll do either prehab, meaning that we'll just go in and do some cosmetic touch-ups, or sometimes it'll be a full-on remodel. I mean, maybe adding a room or changing a layout of a kitchen, just really make it appeasing to that market conditions for that area.
You know, Jason Beasley in here, he does a fine job. He's worked with me for years, and we need to put a lot of pressure on this guy to buy a house today. It's true. And we're not realtors.
Come
so we
on,
can.
Jason.
Jason, are you going to be buying a house here soon? What's your plan? What's your move?
Yeah, I'm tired of the apartment life. I need a yard. Want my own space.
You looking around? What's your move? What do you think the timeline is? When can Bucky really pressure you to buy a deal?
I mean,
To buy a house.
I function best when guilt tripped. So just if you want to start now, go for it.
All right.
The timeline originally was looking at towards the end of 2019, but it's going to be more like early 2020, maybe spring 2020.
Okay. Now, is it fearful for you at all to buy a house?
It's not so much fearful, other than I don't want to make the wrong decision and piss the wife off.
Have you grown up from a long line of home buyers, or would you be the first in your family to own a house? Or
I would be the first since my grandfather.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, okay. Now, again, let's read this notable quotable again from Napoleon Hill. He says, "The development of self-confidence starts with the elimination of the demon called fear, which sits on a man's shoulder, whispering in his ear, 'You can't do it.' You're afraid to try. You're afraid of public opinion. You are afraid that you will fail. You are afraid that you will fail. You are afraid that you will not have the ability." I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but water skiing. Oh, I'm terrified of it.
Are you?
Every time I've tried, it's a disaster. Downhill skiing, a disaster. Firearms, I'm afraid of it. I'm afraid of. I'm afraid. I mean, I am a dangerous man. I have no coordination, and I just am. I'm afraid. But like business, to me, I've never had any worries at all, and I think sometimes it could maybe bother my wife, because I don't think at all about. There's no risk. I just get the facts, and then I act. And I go, but I'm the complete opposite when it comes to speed, heights, weather patterns, traveling, meeting new people. I mean, all those areas are major fear zones for me. Do those bother you at all, Dr. Brick?
No, I think we're opposites in many ways in that way. Yeah, because I was just with my brother-in-law yesterday, and we were talking about a future ski trip that we have.
Oh my gosh!
And we actually this time we have planned it to where it's a little easier for the more novice skiers of our group. But he and I are a little saddened by that, because we like the blacks and the more difficult slopes. I'm an adrenaline junkie. So the physical side of things, I don't know. I know my abilities and I know my limitations, and I'll go full force. For me, it's more the business side. It's the decision side of things. So where you don't have fear,
really?
Yeah, I have more fear, and vice versa.
I've got audio of the last time I went downhill skiing. Let me cue it up here real quick. This is what we have here. This is me going down. This is me going down the slopes.
That doesn't sound like a little girl at all.
No. This is me. No, this is what happened, though. Seriously, I went to Breckenridge. Have you been to Breckenridge?
Yeah, that's my namesake.
Isn't there a yellow Starbucks there on Breckenridge? Am I making that up? There's a Starbucks in downtown Breckenridge. Isn't there like a pizza place in the basement?
I think you're right.
there
I don't
is-
drink a lot of Starbucks.
I've seen the yellow Starbucks you're talking about.
Breckenridge. You've been there?
I'm just ready to get on the
No,
mountains.
you introduced me to it. You're
Okay, let me cue it up. Yeah. Okay, I got it. Put a link to it on the show notes. By the way, there's a yellow Starbucks there. I see it. It's downtown in the downtown area of Breckenridge. But anyway,
neat little area. Yeah.
it's a neat little area. I'm there with Braxton Fierce, and he has many kids, and I have many kids. So there's a total of a lot of kids. Okay, and so he and his wife and my wife and I were there. We got Bucky. We're staying in a great lodge, one that opens up to the bottom of the slopes.
Yeah.
We're checking all the
Ski in,
boxes.
ski out. Makes it awesome.
We scheduled a ski instructor.
Yep.
We had the whole thing planned out,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going down the hill on the bunny slopes, which I think I don't know the grade of these things, but
Right.
it was definitely not flat.
Okay.
It was a little bit of a.
It helps when there's a little bit of a slope.
Do you ski, Bucky?
I do.
So I'm going down. And he's like, "What you want to do, sir, is snowplow." Great instructor, by the way. What you want to do is snowplow. It's not happening for me. And I'm just getting faster and faster and faster, and I'm like, So I did that for about 2 hours. Everything hurt. I felt like I was going to kill myself. And so I said, "Here's the deal." Vanessa, I said to my wife, to Braxton, his wife, I said, "Listen, I will gladly watch all of the kids." They said, "You're going to watch 9 kids?" No, I'll watch all 9 kids, and you guys can do whatever you want to do, but I am not going up there again. Because we went on the ski lift, and I couldn't get off. I just had to, I'm not getting off.
Riding it right back down.
I'm riding
Yep.
right back down. I am not going to get off this thing. I hate this thing. Oh, I'm so just scared. Going up there,
we
I
call
was
that
scared.
the ride of shame.
It was the ride. Yeah.
As everybody else is going up the
No.
mountain, you're the one person coming back
I
down.
had third graders mocking me like, look at that guy. He's freaking woods. But anyway, I'm being serious, though. So I ended up watching the kids. I never went skiing at all. Again, what I'm saying is somebody out there is fearful in the way I am about skiing
Sure.
about business.
Mm-hmm.
And the one little plug I'd have for why business fear isn't that bad is that if you've gathered all the facts, Bucky, is it really that scary to buy a property once you've gathered all the facts?
Not if you understand the facts.
So what kind of facts do you have to know?
One, am I buying this property at the right price? Right. I mean, if you're going to lose yourself in real estate, it's when you buy.
If you're going to lose, it's when you buy.
Correct. Does that make any sense?
Educate the listeners out there that
Yeah.
do not grasp what you're saying.
All right. So just because the property sounds like a good deal from a realtor or someone else out there doesn't mean it's a good deal. If you're going to make any type of money, you have to make money on the purchase price when you buy that property, meaning you can't expect appreciation. You can't expect to increase rents. You need to make money when you buy that property based upon the value that you buy it for that day.
Everything doesn't have to go right for it to work. You need to buy a property that's already cash flowing the moment you buy it.
Exactly.
Okay. So Napoleon Hill, quote number 2, Jason. What is the next notable quotable from Napoleon Hill?
The human mind, if you will pardon repetition, may be likened to an electric battery. It may be positive or it may be negative.
Okay.
Self-confidence is the quality with which the mind is recharged and made positive.
Read that one more time for the listeners out there that are taking notes.
The human mind, if you will pardon repetition, may be likened to an electric battery. It may be positive or it may be negative. Self-confidence is the quality Self-confidence is the quality with which the mind is recharged and made positive.
I think somebody out there needs to get this idea because self-confidence. By the way, Dr. Breck, I'm printing off the notes for you, Jason.
you're
you can
good.
give them the notes to me. So for somebody out there who's an aspiring chiropractor, let's say,
Right.
where does the confidence come from? I mean, if I have my degree, my certification, I went to chiropractic school,
Right.
and I'm just not confident. I'm just like, I might break that guy's neck. I don't know that I have what it takes. I mean,
Seems to be every patient's fear.
where does the confidence come from?
I mean, obviously, with more experience, you gain more confidence. But I think a lot of it depends on, what you've done to prepare yourself up to that point. And so, maybe limited initially. But if you have confidence in the school that you went to and your instructors and that they've prepared you, and then, little by little, that confidence grows.
Bucky, would you say that your confidence has increased over the years as it relates to buying real estate?
Absolutely, Clay.
So where does that come from? Because there's so many seminars and get rich quick events. There's these. It's like coming to a town near you. Learn to get rich quick with real estate. You've seen the seminars. Maybe you've been to the seminars. There are so many seminars. Coming to a town near you. Coming to Tulsa. Only 48 tickets available. For great people like you, we're looking for partners to buy real estate in your area. Coming soon. You see it on YouTube.
Tulsa's one of the few markets that's
Tulsa's
ripe
one of
for
the
this
few-
opportunity.
It's unbelievable. And so you feel like I have to go to the Renaissance Hotel. And your wife or spouse or friends are saying, what is up with you and this whole Renaissance theme? You say, I just like to go to the Renaissance. I got you're dressing up in your Renaissance gear. You're talking about the arts and going back to the Renaissance, and you're thinking about that great gourmet breakfast and the buffet. And you get there, and there's post-up stands, and it's always like somebody rich and friends. But the rich guy never shows up. So it's always like celebrity and friends real estate seminar. And you get there, and the celebrity's not there, but his friends are there. And we don't know if they're friends because they've never met each other, but it's such and such and friends. Bucky, have you ever been to something like this?
I have. It unfortunately, there's a lot of surface sizzle, right?
Yes.
Meaning that do you like buy timeshares, Clay?
I have not, but I almost one time had to buy one to make my wife stop crying. Seriously, we were in Vegas.
With the hard sell?
This is so dumb. I'm so dumb. We went to Vegas on our first real trip that I paid for. And so I stayed at what's that circus-themed hotel there? It's like a roller coasters in front of it or something in Vegas. Not the Stratosphere, but something else.
Circus?
I think it's something like that. So we stayed there. It was the New York. It's New York. Okay. It looks like New York, like the Empire State Building kind of. We stay there, and some guy on the street, Bucky. Have you been to Vegas before, Bucky?
I have.
So there's two things happening in Vegas at all times. One, there's pictures of naked women on playing cards. Have you seen this, Breck?
No, I've not been to Vegas.
Have you not? Don't go.
No, it's not. I mean, there's certain places that they resonate with you or they don't.
Don't go. But
Vegas
this is what's going to happen. If you want to go, this is what will happen. Don't go. You will be walking. Have you been there, Jason?
I have not, but I'm planning a second bachelor party, just me and Breck.
Listen. When you go to Vegas, this is what happens. There's Bucky. Tell me if I'm making this up. But there are cards, like playing cards, and they're passing them out to you. Are they not?
They are. They hit their hand like this and hand it to you.
And the first time that you walk by, you don't know what it is. You're like, oh, someone's handing me playing cards. And you look, and it's full frontal, completely naked woman, and it has her phone number because prostitution is legal outside of the Vegas city. Inside Nevada, it's legal. So, Bucky, does that not blow your mind the first time you see that? You're like, what in the world?
It does. My sister just got back from there last weekend. She was just blown away. She had no idea. She's like,
the godlessness.
Sin City,
it's crazy. Yeah, so you're there. They pass you a card. You're like, oh, look at the card. I remember the first time they passed me a card. My wife's right next to me. I look, and I'm like, oh, Shonda. I mean, it was, and it's like, what are you looking at, you sicko? And I'm like, no, you don't want to see this.
Right.
And she said, no, show it to me. I don't want to show it. Show it to me. No. And I look at it, and I show it to her. She goes, oh, you're sick. It was just, I'm like, they handed it to me.
I didn't ask for it.
And then people hand it to you everywhere, though. Bucky, you mentioned that people, every time you walk by, people are passing you those things. And then when you're in Vegas, they have timeshares. And they go, sir, you want to do an unlimited buffet and go see Circus Olay? My wife's like in the bathroom or something. And then they know their mark. And I'm like, I do want to see. I'm like 20 years old, 19 years old. Yeah, I do want to see Circus Olay, and I do want unlimited buffets. Sir, do you want to see? Do you want to see, such and such headliner live in concert tonight? I don't really know that I want to see Cher in concert, but I get.
Come on.
So anyway, so you get to a place where you go, okay, fine. So you go on this. Have you ever been on a timeshare tour, Bucky?
Oh, I have.
Oh my gosh. So you go and they take you to this beautiful property. They tell you all about it, and they're free food. They're super generous, and then they sit down with you, and they say, Vanessa and Clay, have you had a good time? Yeah. Have you enjoyed the free food? Yeah. Have you enjoyed learning these things? Oh, yeah. Have you enjoyed? So what I would like to ask you, Clay and Vanessa, could you guys give me an honest, just 30 minutes of your time to honestly look at an honest opportunity? Could you honestly tell me that you will honestly be objective? I mean, have you enjoyed the splendor? Do they not do this, Bucky?
They do.
And you're like,
very good at it.
well, I have enjoyed the splendor. So you promise me you're going to take out all your biases. I promise I'll take out all biases. And they go, just look into your heart and ask yourself. And you're going, what is this, like a revival or something? So then they start pitching this condo. And the condo's like for $150 a month, you and your wife could travel up to 4 times a year to this beautiful property.
Right.
And it includes this and that and yada, yada. Or Or for as little as $500 a month, you could be an owner of this hotel. You could own up to 0.5% of this hotel. Bucky, am I making this up? Is this true?
It's absolutely true.
And then for $1,000, you could own, it's like 0.6% of this hotel.
Oh, wow.
And this building's already worth $40,000. It's only half vacant. Now, once we fill it up, it's going to be worth $100 million, and you're going to own 0.5% or 0.6%. And I'm going, appreciate you for the free food, the splendor, but I'm not going to do it. Now, this is like, I'm not kidding. This is like what, Bucky, probably 4 or 5 hours into the tour.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm not going to do it. He's like, so you mean you've enjoyed our breakfast and our lunch, and you don't see the value in this ridiculous offer? I mean, this thing is half off. It's only half full right now. Once this thing is fully filled up, the property is only going to go up in value. Have you taken our time? And then his inner Bostonian comes out because you're like, no, I'm not going to buy. Okay, so you don't care about your family? And you're like, I don't know that I said that. And they do those moves, do they not, Bucky? Like, so do you care about your family or do you care about money? And you're like, I don't know that's a logical question. So you don't care about your family. Okay. And then they pass you with this chart. Oh, my gosh, terrible. The chart that shows you how you'll live less long if you don't travel as much. And then they separate you into 2 rooms. And now they start asking your wife, does he work too much? Is he a workaholic? Is he work? Because he might die of cancer, heart issues. A lot of men just really struggle with overweight. Is he an overworker? Is he a workaholic? Is he? And they pull me aside, and there's a woman over there talking to me about, do you care about your wife? Do you care about? I'm not kidding. This happens. Like, do you care about her? I'm like, yeah, I do care. So you don't just care more about money though, right? I mean, because a lot of men, I just talked to a guy a minute ago. All he cares about is money. And you're like, ma'am, I don't know. I talked to a guy last week. I followed up on the lead, and he was the same age as you, and he died of a heart attack. Just died. He didn't by that time. You're like, I don't. It's like every move. Do they not, Brett? I mean, have you seen this, Bucky?
I have. I've experienced it.
Oh my gosh! Have you ever bought one?
You know what I would do? I look on Craigslist to see what they're selling for.
You have bought one?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
And they're always a third of that price, what they're pitching at that day.
Oh my gosh! So anyway, my wife starts crying, and cannot stop crying. Mm-hmm. And we just need to buy it.
Well, because you're going to die next week of a heart attack.
She's like, baby, they won't stop. We've told them no like a dozen times. They won't stop. And they kind of
3 dozen. Yeah.
They make you feel like you're in a prison setting where you can't leave.
Yeah, they won't let you leave.
Seriously, it's like you have to go down this elevator, but you don't have the key or something. It's weird. And then I'm like, listen, dude, we're gonna have to go now. We're leaving. And then at this point, you have to get crazy. You're like, I don't care about you or your free food. I'm late night. And they're like, so you're a yeller. We're worried about you. Do you mind if we just pray together before you leave? And like, get out of here. Ah! And then you leave. And that's what a timeshare tour is. Now, here's the deal. After that first one, Bucky, do you know what I did the next day?
What's that?
I booked another one. No, true story.
You're a pro at it now.
Because I thought I would go in the second time.
Vanessa was crying.
I thought I'm going to get the buffet and another concert, but this time I'm not going to play the game. I'm going to be tough. And this time it went over worse. So I'm just saying, I mean, there are these get-rich-quick seminars everywhere. There's no money down real estate. How have you possibly been able to be successful in real estate? And how have you been able to avoid the landmines of the jackassery taught at these get-rich-quick real estate seminars?
I mean, Clay, the reason why I brought up the timeshares, they suck you in that way during those seminars. They get you in there and they say, oh, come to our free seminar, free steak on us. And then they hit you with a 3-day course, a crash course for $997 or whatever it may be. And then after you go through that $997 course, then it's $50,000 and you're going to make $180,000 in 6 months or
it is. It's not. Why is it $997? By the way,
that's the $999 has been overused, right? There's a guy out there promoting the $997. He just loves that.
Yeah, so much better than $1,000.
Right. Yeah. It's under $1,000.
I have to ask you this though: have you ever been really, really suckered in? Because I remember one time I went to it was a Get Motivated seminar. Oh, I remember that, and they said, "Now, folks, we're very, very busy." I'll try to imitate the guy because it's like the whole crowd is fired up. Colin Powell just spoke. For some reason, like I want to say,
BOK Center.
I want to say Condoleezza Rice was there. Like Joe Montana's there. All these oddly famous people,
heavy hitters. Yeah.
And then they're like, guys, here's the deal. You want to know the key to success? And there's like 15,000 of us to be okay. He gets quiet. That's the move. Do you guys want to know the secret of success? And 15,000 is like, oh yeah. Well, here's the deal. I'm going to show you. And if you cannot follow the investment tips that I'm about ready to show you, You got bigger issues, right? Right. So let me ask this. When you see a green up arrow, that means it's time to buy. And when you see a down arrow, that means it's time to sell. So I'm gonna put the following stock up on the board. This is gonna show the value of the stock right now today. I'm gonna show it to you. So you look at it. Now every day in your email, you're gonna receive an email alert. Anytime that a stock goes down in value, that's gonna be a green up arrow because you want to buy when people are selling. But see, a lot of you are buying when it's going up. We're going to send you an email it's going to seem counterintuitive because when the things are going down, that's when you want to buy up. And we're like, oh. And they give you a little Warren Buffett quote, be greedy when the market's fearful. Remember that? Be fearful when the market's greedy. Mm-hmm. So they show you the first one, right? 15,000 people. Here we go, folks. I'm showing you the email. You're going to get this email, and it shows the company's value is going down, but the green arrow's going up. Should you buy or should you sell? And everyone's like, buy. Woo! All right, folks, you got one right there. And there's 15,000 people. Mm-hmm. Now, folks, just remember, we're going to break for lunch here in a minute, but we're going to do this again. I want to make sure everyone learns the system. Email comes in. The value goes up. The red arrow, though, down. Should you buy or should you sell? Sell? Yes! Woo! And this goes on. Breck, have you seen, remember this?
I was there.
For like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And he's like, now here's the deal. Because of our insider investment tips, because of our access to the elite billionaire minds, we alone have the ability to give you this knowledge. And we cannot give the knowledge, Dr. Breck, to everybody. No, we cannot, because, let me tell you, folks, the up and down arrows, I think that's pretty simple. We all get that. But the next conference, remember this, Bucky? The next one, that's where we're going to teach you the insider super success tips. For $597. Now, we only have 15,000 of you here today. Now, we only have 2,000 seats available. Isn't that right, Tamara? And then Tamara's over there. She rhymes all the time. That lady, she'd rhyme all the time. And so Tamara says, well, Peter, no, we have now, what? She's wearing a headset. Mm-hmm. What now, Peter? No, Peter, we don't have 2,000. Would you guys be excited if we had 2,100 seats available? And you're like, yes. Now what? It acts like she's getting telecommunications right now via her headset. Right. It's the same headset you wear if you work in retail. Jason, have you ever had a job where you wear that headset? Like the CIA headset?
No, actually, I haven't.
You're missing out, dude.
I know.
So then
I was jealous of it.
You sit there and you say, she goes, no, wait 1 second. So now 15,000 people are waiting. Folks, we have 2,200 spots available. And, like, and then they go, now here's the deal. It's normally $597. Peter, this just in, because of a very generous donation by a corporate sponsor, it's only $197
for the first 300 customers.
Now, and then there's people that start getting up and
they
walking to the back right now because they want to get the program because there's only availability for now we got 1,200 people available, but now the first 300 are the ones who get the book and the one-on-one access with her. And then she starts rhyming. Do you remember this insane rhyming she would do? Mm-hmm. Do you remember that?
I do.
Oh, my God. I remember this. Let me see if I can find it here. Hopefully somebody has archived this online because this is a – oh, here we go. This is what she would do. Here we go. Come on, Tamara.
Be a survivor in this amazing race. With a need for speed, you need God's grace. And if you're desperate like housewives watching Days of Our Lives, you can't cope without hope, and that's not on a soap. If you look into Oprah or Dr. Phil, you can shop nonstop and pop a pill. But the boy
I want this to stop, but part of me enjoys it.
You could put a sick beat behind that.
Easy chair watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Nah, you're not going to find it there. No American Idol or Council Tribal has a final answer that'll satisfy you. CSI ain't got a clue. SVU don't know what to do. Not the ER or the OC. Nothing on a CD, TV, DVD, or MP3 can save you and me. CNN's got
Let me get this. Let me get the remix here. Oh, let me get this. I got to get the mix right here. Oh, I'll listen to that all week. But she won't stop. You remember that guy? She wouldn't stop. Mm-hmm. She would not stop. And then I remember a buddy on my team. He's one of my employees. For some reason, I brought my employees there.
Well, that seminar was like super cheap. It was like $5 to get into that seminar. It was hundreds of dollars to get into every other seminar.
See, they
were
came to
selling.
my office, and I was like a huge sucker. They're like, do you want to motivate your staff? I'm like, yeah.
No.
And like, do you want to get them fired up? I'm like, yeah. So I paid like $40 a ticket, you know, and I sent like 80 people or something to this
Right.
thing. And we're all sitting there, and one of my guys who's an idiot, he says, still an idiot today, but he's an idiot back then too. And he's like, we really need to do this because there's only 1,200 seats available. Ah! And he's on his Nokia phone calling his wife, baby, let's get a different. They have a credit card application thing there. Remember that? They would give you credit,
Yep.
and you could fill out the paperwork. It was like a yellow and pink sheet of paper with a tear off. And somehow I got roped into one of those classes that wasn't at the BOK. It was at the Renaissance.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I'm like, we got to get out of here. This is crap. But Bucky, how far did you go down that rabbit hole?
You know, I raised my hand that day for the CD.
Did you?
Unfortunately, yeah, I did.
Oh yeah, I did too.
was-
And by the way, if you raised your hand, if you signed up right away, you got free lunch too. And it was like it was like Jason's Deli or something.
I feel like I need to go to one of these things. I'm like the only person who missed out on that.
No, you don't. But if you,
Consider yourself lucky.
yeah, I mean, if you want to go, I'll give you more audio. See what you're missing out on here. It's bad. It's bad for your soul. I mean, seriously, it's like, let me give you some more
Zig
audio.
Ziglar was there.
Now I have to tell you that
Yeah, Zig was
it
there.
wasn't always that
Was it incoherent? Zig Ziglar, was he that had Parkinson's?
His daughter basically spoke for him. He was
way.
the
I
end of
grew
his
up
career.
in New Orleans, Louisiana, y'all. You from New Orleans? Yeah, You know what? There's no place like New Orleans, Bob.
I grew up as a charlatan in New
Orleans, but-
Orleans. Ah! Okay,
got
but
it.
anyway, so how did you make it through the quagmire? How did you not get conned? Like, or when did you get out? When did you hit the escape hatch?
I mean, I think it was 197 is what I bought. The little.
The
CD.
197.
I was like, I get a CD. I can
See,
get
you're the
something
smart
out.
guy.
Right.
I was dropping like $500 or something. I don't know what
figured if I can
happened.
get a little bit, and it's a tax write-off, right?
Oh
So they
yeah.
say,
Mhm.
you know,
Oh my gosh, it was
just
so.
write it off in your taxes.
So talk to the listeners out there, Bucky. There's listeners out there right now. They're seeing these big events being promoted, these national coaching seminars, teaching us how to get rich in real estate. What advice would you have for our listeners about these conferences?
Don't go.
Don't go?
I mean, if you do go, just go with an attitude of saying, I don't know anything about real estate, and maybe I'm wanting to understand a few different niches that they talk about, because they pour all aspects of real estate into like a 60-minute, 90-minute session. And most of that is about pitching their programs.
It's
at the very
truthiness.
end.
It's kind of dangerous. It's truthiness because
Yes.
there's elements of truth and quotes from Warren Buffett and Robert Kiyosaki, things that are actually powerful.
Right.
And that's probably a third of it. And then 2/3 of it is upsales. If you're a lady out there, this is the Valentine's edition of the show. This is the Valentine's show. I want to dedicate this song out there to all the ladies. And I just want to encourage you, please don't go to these get-rich-quick seminars. Just don't go. No matter what, please don't go. Please don't go, girl. Don't go to that thing. Don't get roped in. Let me get to the chorus of this song, and then we'll make it stop. But I could listen to this song all week. I could listen to Tamara Lowe and New Kids on the Block all day. I probably will. Let's do a remix.
I just can't live without you.
Please don't go to the seminar. But please do go to their YouTube channel. Listen to this whole video. It's beautiful. Here we go. Oh, yeah. What a beautiful voice. Oh, so good. Yes. Let's go, Joey. Oh, yes. I love you. By the way, Mark Wahlberg was a member of this group just for a minute. He pieced out, though. Thought it was too whack. Oh, yeah. He wanted to sell underwear and become a rapper.
It worked out.
It did work out. To the chorus. Here we go. Go buy this album. If you have not bought this album. Oh, yeah. Step one, find a place that sells albums.
We have one downtown at Spin City.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
In my face. Spin City.
It's pretty awesome.
Put a link to it on the show notes,
Oh, yeah.
please.
They have a limited edition Purple Rain, and if somebody doesn't get it, I don't care how much it costs, I'm getting it.
Purple Rain?
Oh, yeah.
Really? That's beautiful.
And Donnie Wahlberg was not so lucky.
Yeah.
'Cause he was a part of the group.
Well, he's looking good. Have you looked at Donnie Wahlberg recently?
Yeah, I think he's doing well.
Yeah, this is
the Wahlburgers.
We went and
They're
saw
good for
New
you.
Kids on my wife and I went to see New Kids on the Block at the BOK like this year.
Yeah.
And
The
it was
reunion tour.
Oh my! It was the best. I mean,
Oh,
just
I got to write Spinster, not Spinster.
Spinster. Okay, let me just cue this up. I want the listeners to know what you're missing out. If you're not going to New Kids on the Block, this is powerful.
Their voice is a little deeper now.
Hey, get to your songs that I know. No, I don't want that. I don't want to hear Debbie Gibson. I want New Kids on the Block. No, I don't want this either. Yes. There he is. There's Wahlberg. He had the red hat on. Oh, wow, they're doing a cover. Oh, little Whitney Houston cover. These guys are 40. The women are 40. It's impressive. He's wearing like a cape. He's wearing like the flat. Oh, hanging tough? You got to be kidding me. Nothing's more tough than this song, Hanging Tough.
That's right.
I tell you what, one thing more tough than this song is Tamerlow. She's tough. All right. So you're saying, though, Bucky, as a real estate investor guy, you would not go to these conferences?
Definitely not, Clay.
Why?
Because it's a timeshare sale.
Okay.
You know, I mean, we
Okay.
don't want to go down that path again, but it really is. It's they pump you full of a lot of hype.
You pump it up.
Yes.
So
a lot of sizzle.
Ooh, a lot of sizzle. Yeah.
And not much substance.
All right, Jason, what's the third notable quotable from Napoleon Hill?
Says, success is the knowledge with which one may get all that he needs without violating the rights of his fellow men or compromising with his own conscience.
Again, Napoleon Hill says, success is the knowledge which one may get all that he needs without violating the rights of his fellow men or compromising with his own conscience. As an example, I call this the 3 Ps. In business, I know, Breck, you agree with this. We might call it a different name, but we want to work with people that we like, great people.
Right.
We want to make a profit that's healthy and sustainable.
Sure.
And we want to make a product that we're proud to sell to our mom, show to
Absolutely.
our mom, but proud to promote. Talk to me about what happens when you have somebody, I'm sure they approach you all the time at drbreck.com. They go, how many customers do you have? And you say, well, we have thousands of patients. And they go, do you want to make residual income? You want to make $100,000 a month passive? I'm sure you've had this pitch.
Very passive.
And all you have to do is sign all of them up to auto ship this soap made from acai berries. And this has been independently verified in Switzerland, where the medical science is so far advanced. They can't, the FDA, it's the Federal Drug Administration, they don't want you to know about it. And a billionaire has teamed up with some elite minds in Switzerland, and they do not want you to know about the mass market. So we cannot market this on television due to the draconian Federal Trade Commission rules. So we don't spend money on advertising. We can't go out there and run commercials like Gatorade does. No. We can't be like Mike. We eliminate the marketing. We eliminate the marketing system. We eliminate the industrial complex of advertising, and we pay that money to you. So you get that 20% markup. All you have to do is to convince all your patients to auto ship the soap made from acai berries and this bottle of life-giving juices.
Right.
Which did declare it for bankruptcy 2 years ago, but it's been reformulated. And the point is it works. And so I now would like to introduce you to my triple diamond. He'll be here in just a second. He'll be wearing a suit.
Right.
He'll be showing up in a brand new Porsche. And since I've been a member, a client of yours for several weeks, I think you should sit down and at least give me 5 minutes of your time to see this incredible opportunity. Has this happened to you?
Absolutely. Like 5 times a week.
I can one-up you, though, Breck. Since it's the Valentine's Day episode, Clay, I told you about the time that I got that same sales pitch by a half-naked man in a gym locker room, right?
I remember, and you took the bait. You
Whoa.
went for the no-brainer. You went for the no-brainer, right? You said
so
yes.
I'm sitting there. I can't get up because I have not tied my shoes yet. I probably could have just left.
Are you being serious?
Yeah.
This is a real story.
Yeah, and here's the thing.
In
like
that situation, you leave the shoes behind.
Yeah, just buy new shoes. But he's like, I want to talk to you about it. So I'm not paying attention because I'm going about my business. And then I look up.
Please explain to me. You're at a gym.
Yep.
And you're working out, and what happens again now?
I finish my routine. I'm going to change so I can leave for the day. And there's this guy that I worked with who had just signed this amazing opportunity where you auto ship people supplements that they're not going to use, that are probably not proven and that are bad. And so he's like trying to walk me through this whole thing. I'm about 5 minutes in, just like, okay, well, I'm going to entertain you and then leave. Well, then he kind of stands in front of me. He's like going through all these motions, but then, kid you not, pulls like the Captain Morgan, puts his leg up on the bench.
No.
And he's wearing a towel. So I'm like, oh!
Shunda.
Man, talk about some acai berries. It was bad.
Unbelievable.
It was real bad.
So we've all had the pitch. People
Oh,
want
yeah.
to convince you to get rich quick. They're trying to violate your rights by scamming you in some capacity. So I'd like for you, Bucky, to share with the listeners out there, for people out there that want to actually become successful in the real estate game, what are the books that you would recommend, or the systems you'd recommend, or the steps we need to take? What do I need to do if I want to become successful in real estate? What are the steps? Walk me through the steps.
All right. First step is there is a ton of information out there.
Got it.
Right. So you need to figure out what niche and the why, right? And you got to ask yourself the 7 whys to get to the root of why you want to do
The
something.
7 whys?
Yeah, 7 whys.
Okay.
Like, Clay, if I was going to ask you, why do you do what you do?
Well, let me do it. Step 1, it's because I feel like I keep this on my desk, but this is my dad. When my dad was 39 years old, he was a college graduate from Oral Roberts University, but he had to deliver pizzas because he was in a spot in his life where he financially couldn't provide unless he was working at Domino's and Quick Trip. And I think it's a shame when somebody out there has a degree and they can't turn it into income. So that is why I do what I do.
But why?
I'll keep playing the game. I like this game. This is a fun game. Because I've already hit my financial goals, and I couldn't possibly like Thanksgiving or other holidays. I spend my time waiting for them to be over, or if I have an agenda on those days, I'll have fun. So with my kids, I made a great agenda, and we had a lot of fun. But I just can't do downtime. I don't know what that looks like.
Mm-hmm. And then you ask yourself, why?
Why? They have a psychological problem. I don't know. I don't do downtime.
So the whole point of this is to go deep.
Go deep.
If you're not really sure why you're doing something, just keep asking yourself why. Why? And if you can get to that 7th why, you found what is motivating you.
Got it.
And the same thing you have to do with real estate, because there's so many different avenues in real estate. Hey, I want to buy a rental property. Well, why? Do you like dealing with tenants? Do you like fixing up houses? Are you good at managing people, right? You have to manage people in order to be a landlord, because you've got to vet people out who's going to take care of that property well, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to ask yourself all those questions. Or maybe you want to get into mobile home parks, or maybe you want to get into commercial. There's so many different aspects of real estate. That's why you have to understand why.
Where's your sweet spot? Where do you like to be?
Right now, my sweet spot is working with investors and retaining these rental properties, building a portfolio again. So.
And what kind of investor? Does somebody have to have $1 million, or how does that work? If I'm listening right now and I want to invest with you a little bit, because I've done multiple deals like this with guys. Mm-hmm. There's one guy back in the day who was a meat man at a grocery store who I met, and phenomenal when it comes to hands-on flipping properties. It just needed capital. Mm-hmm. So I said, here's the deal. I'll buy the property in my name. I own it. You do the work. We'll buy it low. We'll buy it for $120,000. That's worth maybe $160,000, $170,000. You'll go in, you'll fix it, and I'll split the profits with you 60-40. 60 for me, 40 for you. You do the work. Good payday for you. I put up the money, and I get a profit split. And he said, I'll do it for 50-50. I'm like, all right, I own it, but 50-50 profit split. And we did that a lot, and that worked out well for me. Mm-hmm. But I only did it because I've known the guy for a long time. I knew people who knew him. I knew he wasn't a scammer. I was the one paying all the contractors. I owned the property. There's a lot of scammers out there in your industry. Talk to me about what kind of investors are a good fit for you.
So, typically they're absentee investors, somebody that's busy with their own businesses that just want to acquire real estate on the side.
Got it.
They need to put their money somewhere where they can have some write-offs, and they just want some more passive income coming in with their money they're making off their businesses.
Okay, that's the kind of person.
Right.
How much money does someone need to bring into the game to get started with
typically they're paying cash for houses, so you have cash lines available for $100,000, $200,000.
Can somebody use mortgages or anything, or no?
Not in this business. I don't typically work with the traditional home buyers because they have to go through the process of closing with a bank, going through underwriting. All those different steps that slows down the whole process.
Think about this for a second. Napoleon Hill quote number 3: "Success is the knowledge with which one may get all that he needs without violating the rights of his fellow men or compromising with his own conscience." So you don't feel bad about the deals you do?
No, absolutely not, because I'm helping people out of bad situations, right? Otherwise, they would have to walk away and lose the house, destroy their credit, and or they're just in the middle of turmoil and they just need a light, right? We just need to pull them out of the darkness that they're in.
I want to ask all the listeners out there rhetorically, what is the problem that you're solving? What is the thing that you do? Dr. Breck, you help people with their posture. You help them with their health, their well-being. You help people get in great shape physically by adjusting their spine over at drbreck.com. That's what you do. You're a chiropractor.
Yep.
Bucky, you make your money by helping people buy real estate and selling it or renting it out, that kind of thing. What is the problem you solve? And Jason, are you familiar with Jamie Foxx?
As in R&B legend / acting legend Jamie Foxx?
Well, how much do you know about Jamie Foxx?
I know that I appreciate him for both his music and acting.
Do you know a lot about Jamie Foxx, Dr. Breck?
I wouldn't say a lot, but
what about you, Bucky?
I'm familiar with him.
I know he's an actor.
I am going to provide for you guys a knowledge buffet. It's going to blow your minds.
All right.
If you listen to the Tim Ferriss interview with Jamie Foxx, you can hear all this and hear the firsthand account of this by Jamie Foxx. But Jamie Foxx was taught to play the piano classically.
Right.
And he is African American, and he grew up in a time and in a place in Texas, Terrell, Texas, where white people didn't like black people yet. It wasn't equality. So his mom said, you need to become the best piano player possible, so that way you can always get into these conversations. So these white people, many of which were racist, many of which were not, they would hire him to come and perform during like the holidays or at birthday parties or weddings, and he would nail it. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're good. But he discovered that he would just be a piano guy and would never build a name for himself. There's so many guys who could just play the piano at bars. They were like, background noise.
Yeah.
That he would never really get big tips or big notoriety or any type of relationship with the person hiring him unless he wove in comedy with the songs. Then he worked on impersonating people so he could nail the impersonation game. Now, this is what's crazy about Jamie Foxx. He wanted to become a musician, so he goes out to L.A. He lands on the show Living Color, which is a comedy show with Jim Carrey and other big names, the Wayans brothers.
Yeah.
But he was not being respected or given an opportunity as a musician because people labeled him as a comedian.
Right.
So what he did is he ran into Puff Daddy intentionally because Puff used to hang out in that area a lot. And he walks up to Puff Daddy. This is a true story.
Probably where Puffy met J-Lo. That's where she got her start. Living Color.
There you go. This is craziness.
Oh.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So Puff Daddy says, what do you want? He says, I want to be your photographer. I'll be your free photographer, free paparazzi. I know you need great headshots. I'm the man. I do the best headshots, totally free. And Puff says, all right, sure. I got another, a PR media appearance at this day and this time. Show on up. You doing it for free? Yeah, sure. Good. Jamie Foxx then realized, I need to learn how to take photos.
Right.
So he did a crash course teaching himself how to take photos, and they turned out well because he just took as many as possible.
Sure.
Well, then he's talking with Puff. He says, Puff, how much money do you spend on these parties? And Puff says, usually $1 million per party. He says, $1 million? He's like, yeah, you want to spend $1 million. That way everybody knows you've got money, long money, and then they want to work with you on future projects. So I invite a bunch of people. It's the best networking possible.
Yeah.
And he says, well, Puff, I bet you I could do a better party than you for under $1,000. And Puff Daddy says, you can't do a party for under $1,000. I can do a party. Here's what you promise me you will be there. Puff says, I promise I'll be. You promise? Promise? Okay. I'll tell you the date. Promise you'll be there, Puff. Don't put me out there. Don't have me telling people about this party and then I want you to see it. Promise? Puff says, I promise. So they handshake on it. So he starts getting his phone out and calling people he knows through the Living Color and other programs. And he says, here's the deal. Kanye West, I got Puff Daddy coming to a party at my house. He says, Puff's coming to a party at your house. You promise? Absolutely. He'll be there. You want to be there? Yeah. He starts calling people saying, hey, Puff Daddy and Kanye West are coming to a party at my house. You want to be there? All you need to bring is red Solo cups and bring yourself some Popeye's chicken, and let's do this old school. So people, all these celebrities started hearing about the celebrity throwback party hosted by some dude that's being thrown by Kanye and Puff.
Right.
So then he has a recording studio in his basement, and he says, Puff, can you come down here real quick? He says, everyone's at the party. Yeah, I can come down. Why? He says, I just want you to come down here. And Kanye, can you come down here real quick? Is that something you could do? And Kanye says, sure. So then what he does is he cues up the song. He says, why don't we just do a verse? Just a quick little verse. So this is what he did here. This song was already put together. So he cues up this song.
ain't no freak, so you got to.
Here's Kanye's verse.
I'ma play this Vandross. You gon' take your pants off.
Then once he gets their vocals, he's like, I got it. Then he calls up Twista and says, Twista, I got a song. Kanye's on it. He's like, Kanye's on the song? Sure. So then he produced it himself, and he drove up and down the West Coast to radio stations announcing that he calls the radio stations and says, do you want to be the first station to play the new hit song featuring Kanye West and Twista on the same song? And they're like, oh, yeah. So he made himself famous.
That's awesome.
This is how he did it. But this is him performing his comedy tour. And I want you to hear how good this is, because right here, what problem does he solve? He solves the problem of entertaining people, but he does it like nobody else. Listen to this. This is him performing in Dallas.
You know, sometimes when you're playing music and you're talking real low and everything, it really don't make a difference what you're saying. You're just talking low. But I want to know one thing. Can I get jiggy tonight?
He's so good.
A little jiggy with it. Can I get jiggy tonight? Oh,
That's smooth.
He's so good.
Can I D A L L A S, the best.
And he had this ability to work. He weaves in comedy with the piano like nobody else. Let's listen to this.
And right after that slow song, you knew what time it was. It was time to go get that number. And you go get that number from that girl that you really liked. Her name was Bernadette. And that was crazy as the names got back then. Plain old Bernadette. It wasn't no LaCakey and LaFuffy and Delucia. Bernadette. And you walk up to her and you ask her for the number. She already had the number ready for you. Like, damn, thanks. And then you call her the next day. You're nervous. So you call her. You hang up the first time. Ain't no star 69. Then you call back and you get the old man. Who the is this on my damn phone, little You tired of my line? And then you finally call back and you get her on the phone. And then you get back on the phone and you say, Bernadette, I got something I want you to hear. And what you do, players, you get the phone and you hold it up to the speakers.
Oh.
And you let Luther do your talking for you.
Listen
And
to how
Luther
good
break
he
it
is.
down like, let me hold you tight, if only for one night. Let me keep you near.
It's unbelievable. All I'm saying is if you're out there and you don't solve a real problem for your real buyers, that's a problem. And a lot of people don't solve a problem for anybody. They had no value to the world. And so what they want to do is they want to trick you into giving your hard-earned money to them in exchange for no value. And it's very, very important that everybody out there, that we understand this idea that success is the knowledge with which one may get all that he needs without violating the rights of his fellow men or compromising his own conscience. Now, Napoleon Hill quote number 4 reads, "The mind is the citadel of the soul, wherein is the connecting link between the conscious thinking process of man and infinite intelligence." Now, I am a Judeo-Christian, but I can say this. I would say that a lot of times, if you're not intentional, you're not going to be thinking long enough or detailed enough on something to ever have a coherent thought. Dr. Breck, we live in a world of perpetual distraction.
Absolutely.
You've been a chiropractor since before the smartphone came out.
Yes, true.
How has the smartphone impacted the overall happiness or lack thereof of your patients?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely impacted overall happiness, but we've created new conditions because of the smartphone. So we have texting thumb that we never would have had before. I mean, maybe we would have had game controller thumb or something similar, but we've had texting thumb, and now we have text neck, where we're seeing issues that typically in the last, like 10 years ago, I would see this in someone who was 45, 55, and now I'm seeing the same degeneration issues in someone who is in their teens and 20s, where they have a straight neck, they have degeneration of the disc. We've got lots of biomechanical problems that are happening, and it's all from looking down towards one's belly button where everyone holds their cell phone rather than bringing the phone up to them as if their head is more important than the phone. We take our face to our phone.
So you're seeing this though.
It's an epidemic. Yeah, it's terrible.
And if we're not intentional about thinking about how we want our lives to be, we're just going to sort of drift around aimlessly, drifting around. And
there's a lot of decision by indecision.
And I think, I think, Bucky, a lot of people get into real estate, but they're kind of just drifting around. It's like the easiest thing to do. It's like, well, I might as well go to this conference. Well, I might as well buy a property. And all of a sudden, people find themselves in a bad spot. How can our listeners actually go out there and find a real estate mentor? How can they find a real estate investment mentor, someone who's not going to scam them? Is it even possible?
I think you're touching on it earlier. I mean, back in the old days, and I think they still do it a lot in England, is apprenticeships, right? And you were talking about, would you work free for a successful person, right? So these real estate investors out there, they need help, right? I need help. If somebody wants to come and work for me for free for a little while to learn the ropes of the games, to take my knowledge that I've learned for the last 20 years and apply little bits and pieces of that, that's a great avenue. So how do you find that mentor? There's groups. Every local area across the country has local real estate investment groups, and they have different speakers that come in, and those are like real investors typically doing real deals.
If they spend a year with you, how much of a learning curve benefit would that be? How much knowledge would they acquire in a year?
Ooh, if they spend
how many years would that save them?
Oh, that would save them at least 10 years.
That sounds like a good deal to me.
That's true.
I think somebody out there, though, is saying, I need a mentor. I need one. But I don't want to work for free. And, so if you look up, if you say you were going to read the life story of Puff Daddy, you would discover that Puff Daddy started working for free. Well, why? Because he was a Howard University college student, and no one wanted him. Why? Because how many people want to get into the music industry in college? I don't know. Everybody. So when he decided to go work for free, he had to work as an intern at New York's Uptown Records. Why would somebody have to work for free, Jason, if they wanted to get into the music industry? Why did he have to work for free?
Well, because a lot of people are going to demand, this question always comes up, and I laugh every single time. Somebody says, hey, I would love to intern for Clay for the summer. Like, okay, I could pass that along. Well, hold on. Before you do, how much does that pay? Like, wait.
Right. All the time.
Yeah, I always grew up assuming that internship meant you were getting work experience so you could skip, months or to years or decades, like Bucky said, just because you got the knowledge for free. And I mean, there's a trade-off there.
What if I don't like the example about Puff Daddy? I said, give me another one. Okay. Steven Spielberg. If you guys ever watched documentaries about Steven Spielberg, Jason, have you seen did you ever watch a movie or have you watched a documentary yet about how Steven Spielberg got started?
No, the
really
closest
dirty
one I've seen is his Industrial Light and Magic documentary is awesome.
Have you seen this, Bucky? Have you seen this?
No, I haven't.
Breck, have you seen this?
No, I know he worked with George Lucas, but I haven't seen
Let me tell you what he did.
The documentary.
He pretended to work there.
Mm-hmm.
So he found out that you had to have like an ID badge and you had to dress professionally to get past security. So he walked in casual, pretending like he worked there, and he just went in for free.
Yeah.
And they thought, okay, so now he's in. And he's like, I'm here. I'm behind the gate. I'm behind the wall. And now I'm working for free. I need an office. So he turned a janitor's closet into his office. He put the name Spielberg on the door, replaced the word janitor, and he worked for free while doing odd jobs on the side at night. And he did this for a long time. And then eventually, one of the higher-ups said, get me Spielberg. This guy, he's great energy. Who hired this guy? And he was working as a grip, which means you're carrying cords around. He was doing odd, and people just thought he was hired by somebody. It's a big organization.
Right.
And they said, Spielberg, who brought you in here? And he says, a lot of people recruited me up top. I don't remember the person's name, whatever. Well, Spielberg,
Smith.
I've got a commercial that needs to be cut. Let's see what you got, buddy. So he cuts a commercial, and then only when it came time to pay him for the spot. Did they realize he wasn't an employee?
He's not in the system.
That's a real thing. And this story repeats itself all the time, whether it be Napoleon Hill or Puff Daddy or Steven Spielberg or Ryan Tedder. A lot of people don't realize this, but Ryan Tedder is a Oral Roberts University graduate. He went to Oral Roberts University, lived right across the hall from me in college. But people don't realize Homeboy was working for free as an intern while working for pay at Pottery Barn. So he's working over there as an internship for free, but he had to pay the bills, so he worked at the Pottery Barn.
Right.
When I was building DJ Connection, I worked at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV for pay, and I worked for free DJ gigs. I would tell people, I'll DJ your party for just $1, and then if you're happy, you can pay me.
I asked a friend about this just the other day because she was telling me she was at Oral Roberts around the same time you were. And I said, did you ever go to a Clay Clark hosted party?
Oh, did she?
And she did.
She really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like at the hotel across the way.
Can you throw me out a first name just so I can see if I can remember?
Heidi. I actually don't know her maiden name.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I
that was a big thing there.
Yeah.
That was a big. Now on let me tell you this. My son and I did a deal on Friday. Jason, were you there or when I was doing the pitch for Aubrey on Friday?
I was not at Thrive.
Yeah.
No, I was not.
If listeners out there Google search DJ Aubrey 3000, this is my son who's 12.
He's awesome.
You'll find he now has 106 reviews on Google, and he's getting
not to be confused with Andre.
What he's doing is, Breck, and this is a high pressure pitch for you here.
Okay.
If you have a party coming up,
Yeah.
and you're going, I've got $1. He's your guy.
Wait, is he doing your New Year's Eve party? Is he available?
He's doing the. We are having a major Christmas party. Yes, he's doing that party. New Year's Eve though, he's not booked currently.
Oh, he's not booked. For
and
New Year's Eve.
Here's the deal with him. He's got 106 reviews right now, and he's willing to work for. It's $1 is his quote.
Right.
And then you just pay him at the end what you think he's worth.
Yeah.
So far he's brought in a $250 tip, $500 tip, a couple 300s. He's doing really well. And a big energy company in Tulsa just called on Wednesday to book him for the party.
Yeah.
And the lady goes, is he good? I said,
I've heard some of his work. He is good.
I said, he's good. And she says, do you have any video footage? And I said, no. And she says, why? I said, well, I'm his dad, and we're working through the game. But some of the people we've done parties for didn't want us filming yet. But I was able to get this clip here. This is the first audio clip of Aubrey DJing here. This is his first audio clip that I'm able to share with our listeners out there. This is him getting a group of young people all lathered up right there. And then, Jason, he DJ'd for your wedding reception, did he not?
He did. He did an amazing job.
So if you want to learn more about booking DJ Aubrey 3000 and you live in, listen, I'm the parent. Don't make me drive up to Texas. Don't do that to me. Book him in Tulsa, DJAubrey3000.com. That's DJ Aubrey, AUBREY, 3000.com. He's got 106 reviews. He will work 4 reviews. He wants to just build that resume. That's how you do it. He's got to work for free. Dr. Breck, your first exam is free, is it not?
It is.
Yeah. Tell us about it. If my back hurts, I need an adjustment. How does it work?
Yeah, you go to our website. There's a link there. Click on the link. That's drbreck.com. And you click on the link, and what you can do is come in to the office, get a consultation, exam, x-ray, and treatment, all at no cost, no obligation, free.
Bucky, your first assessment, is it not free? How does that work? If I'm out there and I'm listening in the Tulsa area and I need to unload my property, I want to sell it, what does it cost to meet?
Clay, it's free. Absolutely. I mean,
how?
Because we want to service you guys and give you and show you what your house is worth, right? So many people go out and expect you as a homeowner to know what your home's worth. We give you a free consultation and tell you exactly what it's worth.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. Notable quotable number 5 from Napoleon Hill reads, "The sixth sense is the medium through which a properly qualified mind may communicate with other minds at any distance through the principle of telepathy." Now, calm down, get off, stop booing.
You're going a little metaphysical on us.
Stop booing. Stop. Let me just give you an example. If you're a Christian out there, I'll start with you, then I'll work with the secular people next. But if you're a Christian, we've all had somebody who, it's the holiday time of the year. I guess this would be Valentine's Day. We've all been to a party where your extended family is there, and maybe it's your cousin, and she wants to introduce you to her friend, and you're going, okay, this is our friend. I would like to meet your friend. What's your friend's name? And she says, his name is Little John. And you say, oh, Mr. Little John, pleasure to meet you. She says, No, it's Lil John. Lil John. And he said, well, Lil John, what do you do for a living? He says, well, I typically, I write songs. And you say, cool, this is exciting. What kind of songs do you do? And he says, well, let me go back out to my vehicle real quick, and I'll bring back some demos. You can hear what I'm working on. You say, okay, cool. And he cues up this song, and you're like, and you're going, okay. This has some good melody to it. Perhaps you're a good guy, So you're thinking, what other songs do you have, Little John? And he says, well, let me play another one for you.
What's happening? Hey, it's your boy Lil Jon. Pick your meat, click. What's up, phony?
And you go, well, that's a little more up tempo. What other songs do you have? And he says,
There you go.
and you're going, sir, do you have is that a chalice? Sir, are you carrying, is that a staff? Sir, do you have like a hip injury? Do you need to see Dr. Bragg? And then you at that point, your antenna has to go up and say, well, you might want to, check the references and, and just see, what you're getting into here.
Mm-hmm.
But the person who's dating the person can't seem to understand what you're seeing. They're too close to it.
Right.
When you read stories about celebrity athletes who have tons of kids out of wedlock and they don't know their moms, and
right.
It's not super shocking when you look at some of these people. It's not super shocking. When we hear about Charlie Sheen and his escapades. Remember, Charlie Sheen was running around with adult movie stars while doing drugs.
Tiger's blood.
Yeah. It can't be shocking to you that he's got some personal issues. Right. That right there is what Napoleon Hill's talking about. He's talking about how you put off this aura that says, that's Charlie Sheen. You probably shouldn't date him. But your cousin's like, he's a great guy. He goes by Charles. Or no, that's Charlie Sheen. No, it's not. It's just, but you know what I mean? Everybody else can pick up on the vibe, but you can't.
Right.
Clay, didn't he invent Tulsa?
Oh, my gosh.
He did. I forgot about that.
Did he say he invented Tulsa?
Yeah.
What? Tell me about this story.
Oh, Bucky probably knows it better than I, but that's the reason my senior music department trip we go on every year, we based our shirt off of Charlie Sheen because he made that quote. Our drum director was like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. So it said, so all the front said #winning, and then the back said created by Charlie Sheen.
So he claimed to have invented Tulsa?
Yeah, in some weird roundabout way.
That's impressive.
I just would encourage you, if you're out there and you're hanging out, if you're dating some guy named Little John, and then he wants to take you to a strip club on your first date, you can't be shocked. But some people, their antenna's not up because they're not paying attention. And that's what he's talking about. He's talking about how this, and you also can put off this aura that says, please don't buy from me. Bucky, you've seen this before with real estate folks who just come across as scammy. And it says, they have like a sign that says, please don't buy from me. But it's an invisible sign, but everyone can see the sign. What are some telltale signs you're probably going to get scammed by a real estate person? What are some signs where you go, you're going to get scammed?
The first thing is the questions that come out of their mouth. What do they say first? And the first thing they typically say is, well, how much do you want out of your house? Well, how are you supposed to know that, right? If you're not in the real estate business, if you're not buying and selling properties, how do you know what your home's worth? Right. Well, let me see. I owe $75,000. Okay, we'll give you $85,000, but your home's worth $230,000.
The quick fuzzy math.
You just feel slimy.
You feel slimy. Jason, how do you know if somebody's shady? What are tips that you have where you've over the years, where you've gone, whoa? Because at the conferences, managing the businesses, you've met thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah.
You've probably at this point seen some scammers, and you've probably seen some great people come through.
Yep.
What are some telltale signs where you go, whoa?
One of the big ones for me that took me a really long time to learn was if somebody can't remember a conversation that we had, they're scamming. Because typically what that means is they've told that whole conversation was a lie to them, and they can't remember where they left off. So they're like, no, it doesn't sound familiar. It's like, no, I definitely remember everything that you said. And they're like, no, I don't.
I have others, and these are harsh. And somebody's going to get mad at me. Someone's going to go, you are a bad man. But I think this is important that maybe you get it from somebody else. Are you guys familiar with Ben Horowitz?
Yes.
Ben Horowitz talks about being late. He started Opsware, a company that was sold for $1.6 billion. And he talks about, he has a new book coming out right now called What You Do Is Who You Are. What you do is who you are. And in that, he talks about how people's biggest possession we all have is time. And people that don't value your time are the worst, in his mind, in the world of business. So he gives examples from the book, but as an example, like Tom Coughlin, the New York Giants former head coach, he always started meetings 5 minutes early, and he finds the players $1,000 per minute they were late. He talked about at Andreessen Horowitz, he would fine people $10 a minute for being late. So currently, he fines people $10 a minute for being late. $10 a minute. Some would say that's harsh, but Breck, what happens if you have a culture where people are allowed to be late? What happens in your? I mean, if you have 6 or 7 people all waiting on one person, on a practical level, what happens?
Well, first, I mean, they're late by a minute or 2, and then it's 5, and then it's 10, and it's a snowball effect. It continues to grow until the point that you don't have a meeting at all. And it's not one person, but it's the entire team that's showing up 10, 15, 20 minutes late or not at all.
You said it drifts to a point where you don't even have a meeting at all.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it just snowballs on you, and you're out of control. You're not the one conducting the meeting. You're not the one controlling the situation at all.
There's an article from Barron's.com that reads, I show up 15 minutes late for our chat about what you do is who you are, his new book on creating business cultures. We kick things off with a discussion of the environment at his own firm. Horowitz mentions that his firm puts a premium on being respectful to entrepreneurs, getting back to companies even when they aren't going to get funded, for instance, and not making people wait. This is a guy who just showed up late to interview him. He says, we find people 10 minutes a minute for being late. This could be dangerous for somebody out there if you don't understand these principles, because I'm just telling you, if you're chronically late, I know you aren't successful. Right. But now we all run a minute behind or things happen, but you can tell if someone's successful because they will apologize. Like, I am sorry I was running a little behind. But people that don't even care, Bucky, you've seen this phenomenon.
Absolutely.
And what happens when you're dealing with somebody, a service provider, a product developer, a partner, an employee, and they do not mind being late? What does that say? I mean, ultimately, what does that say about the way they do everything?
They don't respect what they do or who they do it with.
That's a thing. Another thing I have found about things that you need to worry about is people that don't take notes when having a very detailed conversation are scary. So when you meet somebody who's a quote-unquote investor and they don't take notes, you got to run for the hills. Everybody I've ever met who's a CEO or a professional of somebody who's a great lawyer, great attorney, great dentist, they take notes.
Right.
Why, Dr. Breck? Why do you take notes?
Well, so I was in a meeting just the other day, and a lot of things are happening very quickly in this meeting, and there's 3 or 4 people sitting around the table, and you're going to need to reference back to that moment. Like, you may be able to hang on to it in the moment in your mind, keep it all straight, but if you have to reference back to it, 3, 4, or 5 hours later, you need to know, truly what was said, what was done, what was decided, and not some kind of, vague remembrance of it. And so you want to know the details. The numbers matter. Numbers don't lie. And so especially a detailed conversation that involves numbers, you want to write those numbers down. And if you're not, then you're not really engaged in the process, and that's a problem.
It could be a very, very big problem for you, and you might not even know it. Maybe you're a great guy, but you're just always late. And so you don't understand what that says to the marketplace. That is that sixth sense. I'm going to run through a checklist.
Selfish. Yeah, I mean, it's all about you. If you're not worried about someone else's time, then you're being very selfish, and that's not a good place to start any kind of relationship, but definitely not a business one either.
Other just things you might be putting out there that make people worried. Okay, these are things that will tell the world not to do business with you. When you're inconsistent.
True.
When you just don't do what you say you're going to do. When you run roughshod over people's boundaries, when someone's clearly told you, hey, I'm not available after 5, and you call them every day after 5.
Right.
When you talk all the time about how much money you have, you usually don't have any money. I've found this phenomenon. When you talk all the time about your new car, you usually can't afford the car.
Right.
When you can't get through a dinner without showing people a picture of you and a celebrity, you probably don't know any celebrities.
Right.
When you can't stay off of Instagram or Facebook posting pictures of you in tropical places, you probably don't travel to tropical places. You probably went one time this year, and you're posting throughout the year to look like you travel.
Right.
This is a thing, and I'm just encouraging you out there. You might not be aware of this, but it's very, very, very important that you come across as credible. Now, notable quotable number 6 from Napoleon Hill is, "It may not be true that thoughts are things, but it is through thoughts that we create things, and the things thus created are strikingly similar to the nature of the thoughts from which they are fashioned." So as an example, I'm working on a book. Jason, you helped me with the book this morning. It's called If My Walls Could Talk. It's where I'm breaking down all the notable quotables on the walls.
Yeah. Your walls do talk.
What they mean. And I thought it would take about 2 hours, to edit it.
Okay.
I took pictures of it.
Sure.
And I've already written down captions, and I thought it'd take about 2 hours to edit it. I told Jason I'm about 18 hours into my 2 hours so far this weekend. But it started off as a thought.
Right.
Of people kept asking me, what does that quote in the bathroom mean? Or what does that picture mean? And they were all teaching moments at certain times.
Right.
And I think that if you read enough business books and you read enough psychology and you read enough autobiographies and you read enough case studies, pretty soon you start to figure out the connection points. And Jason, I mean, we're in a really unique spot in what we do because we track our clients' growth.
We do.
And when we track our clients' growth, the numbers that I'm going to share with you could seem a little bit crazy. And so I always try to cite what I say because what I'm saying seems improbable and or impossible. And then I'll ask you, Dr. Breck, in just a minute. I want to get your take on this. But I always like to cite everything I say, but on our walls, I don't cite it.
Yeah.
I write the point or the epiphany.
If it's a quote, you've got who it was quoted by.
But I don't write like the context of it.
Right, no.
So let me just give the listeners some examples of real things that I'm going to verify. You can verify right now on the show that are cited in the book that aren't cited on the wall.
Right.
So on page 77 of the new book, the clarification is, on this particular portion of our walls, I was describing the life-changing power of the 13-point assessments I conduct for each and every one of our potential one-on-one business coaching clients and the eye-opening power of our bulletproof business checklist. On this diagram, I was showcasing how most business owners find over 100 glaring weaknesses or core issues with their business just by going through it. Now, someone might say, well, I've never gone through this, and I've been a client for years. Calm down. I only go through this when you get to a point where you think you're done, and you're like, wow, my business is growing. Wow, I'm having huge growth. That's when we go over this because this allows you to make it scalable, where you can open up multiple of them where you can franchise. And here are the wins that I document. I said, remember, we are not even factoring in the entire month of December with these client wins. If we were playing a sport, this would be our business coaching scoreboard. And when you point to the scoreboard, you aren't bragging. You're just pointing to the results and to the truth. Our system works, but nothing works unless great clients like you do. So here we go. Scotch Construction, 54% growth from 2018 to 2019. That's a multi-million-dollar company, by the way. Metal Roof Contractors, 87% growth. Jameson Fine Cabinetry recorded a video testimonial sharing his growth. Jean Brees, the motivational speaker, doubled her sales, 52% growth. Brian Armstrong, 48% growth. Accolade Exteriors, 86% growth. Quality Surfaces and Countertops, 76% growth. Gables Excavating, 61% growth. Back to Basics Builders, 27% growth. Kelly Construction Group, 21% growth. Don't believe me, call these people. Bogart & Sons Construction, 33% growth. Don't believe me, call these people. Restoration Health Chiropractic, 115% growth. Best Buy Window Treatment, 75% growth. Cheney Construction, don't believe me, call these people. 14% growth. Custom Automation Technologies, 16% growth. CT Tech, 56% growth. You should not believe me, call these people. Lake Martin Mini Mall, 13% growth. HealthWorks, 20% growth. Now, mind you, this is not the factoring in the month of December because we're not done with the year yet. I'm recording this show on December 1st that comes out on February 15th, so the numbers will be higher. Laundry Barn, 100% growth. Angel's Touch, 71% growth. 71% growth for Angel's Touch Auto Body. Snow Bear Heat and Air, up from $768,000 to $1,074,000, and we're not done with the year yet. Full package media up 15% growth. Trinity Employment up 32% growth. Hood CPAs 61% growth. Dr. Brick, what do you think your growth is going to be this year?
Oh, goodness. I should have been thinking about that. I was just so blown away with, I think the lowest percentage of growth that you just quoted was like 13%, which is still phenomenal.
The GDP of our country, the gross domestic product of our country, is growing at a 1.9% per quarter, which means 96% of businesses fail, according to Inc. magazine.
Right.
But if you are not failing, that means the average business is growing at about an 8% rate annually for the year, about 7.2. So these are big numbers.
Well, I mean, on average, you were saying like 50% growth, somewhere 87% growth.
100%.
I mean, but even 13% growth.
What do you think you're going to grow as a
most
percentage?
Companies is enormous.
Are you going to be up more than 10% this year, you think?
Yeah, I do.
It's harder to grow as a percentage as you get bigger.
Right, which is also one of the things that's so impressive when you say, some of these companies, it's one thing if you're a startup and you've got 10 clients. I mean, you can double and triple in a month. But when you're already a large scale, functioning business.
You've doubled the size of your company in the past 3 years, am I correct?
Yeah.
You think you'll be up 10% this year or 20%?
No, I think we're going to be probably somewhere between 15 and 20%.
And you're already full. My wife went in there for adjustment, and she said you guys are slammed in there.
Yeah, that's why we have to move locations.
That's a good problem.
That's a great problem to have.
That's a good problem to have.
So the only problems we're having now are growth issues, which is just new problems. I didn't used to have problems with growth. We had other issues where, we had to pay the bills.
But it started with a thought.
It always starts with a thought. I mean, we have the power to create.
There we go.
I believe that's God-given. We get to be like God. He creates. We get to create.
Yep.
But nothing happens without initially becoming a thought.
Now, Jason, you have to take a picture of the pyramid scheme behind me, the picture.
Yeah.
Because I got this picture of this pyramid. I want to put it on the show notes so the listeners can see this pyramid. But the pyramid at the top, we got a picture of God. And I'm not good at this, but my goal is to not make him cry every day, which is why there's a teardrop there.
Yeah.
My belief is that God can see everything.
Right.
Underneath that, there's the phrase Dr. Zellner written there, and it's because I never want to involve myself in a business dealing that conflicts with the guy who brought me to the dance.
I guess
so to speak.
Yeah.
I never want to.
There's loyalty there, which is great.
So I never want. I mean, so many optometrists have reached out to us for help. I can help you, but not if you're in Tulsa.
Right.
Then Jonathan. Underneath that, it's my wife's name and my name, Clay and Vanessa. Why? Because God's the top, Z second. My wife and I want to make sure we're never doing a business deal that we're in conflict over. I never want to work with a client that gives her the willies.
Gotcha.
Now, the next is Jonathan. I want to make sure that Jonathan always knows what we're doing. That way he's involved, he's part of it, and he has a profit share. So he benefits and we benefit, and I want to make sure he's doing well. And underneath that, we want to have 500,000 listeners per month to our podcast, which we do have. We want to work with 160 clients, which we do have, and we want to educate 2,000 Thrivers per year at our conferences, which we almost have. And so you would say, what? Yeah, you see, this started with a thought,
right?
And now it became a thing, and it's a reality.
It's real.
But it started off as an idea. Now, at the bottom, there's steps leading up to my pyramid.
Right.
Meaning that I will not let anybody work for me or on my team sustainably. I won't keep someone on my team. I won't work with them as a client. I won't allow them to come to a conference consistently. Now, maybe somebody tricks me, but I'm not going to put up with people who are not the following traits: diligent, coachable, loyal, kind, positive, goal-focused, and Christ-focused. Now, you might say, you mean you only hire Christians? No, let me get this. Christ's message was one of being Christ-like. And there's a lot of people that are not Christians who live the life that Christ would want you to live. And maybe we disagree on the salvation message, and maybe I hope over time that they'll switch over to my team. Maybe they hope I switch to their team. But people that, read the Bible but aren't Christ-like or don't attempt to be. Now, Jesus did flip tables when they wouldn't stop selling things. He did get intense from time to time. Jesus also forgave people that the world thought was unforgivable. And there's a lot of Christ-like traits that I try to say, is this person aspiring for the same goals that I am? And but again, it starts with an idea. But I think, Bucky, once the excitement of the new idea wears off, it could probably be easy to quit. And you've been in real estate for 20 years. 20 years doing this thing. So talk to me about why you think you've been able to be successful. And you have the floor. You can talk about anything you want. I just want to, why do you think you've been successful? What role does accountability play in that? Talk to me about why you think you've been able to have success for 20 years, 2 decades.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest benefit, Clay, for me is just it was a passion of mine, right? I love the process of a house, seeing the structure, giving a place for somebody to live. That motivates me. And there's houses everywhere. There's land everywhere. And the thing about with real estate is there's always going to be a need for that. There's always people having issues in their homes that they live in. There's always people having personal finance issues. And that's what I can do is I can solve issue after issue after issue. And every deal is different. I don't get bored.
You don't get bored.
I don't get bored.
You love it.
I absolutely love it. I mean, it's exciting. And what has kept me on track is staying accountable to myself, right? And like you wrote a plan up here, you're working your plan. That was something that was ingrained in me when I was a kid. It's like write the plan, work the plan.
Mm-hmm.
And if you stick to that, and if your plan needs adjustments along the way, make those adjustments, right? And then when I first met you, Clay, you were talking about diligence. And that just resonates home with me. Being able to every day wake up and do what you're supposed to do early, do it well, and do it till it's done. And that's what diligence is. And if you do that, and if you're doing what you love, then you're going to have yourself accountable. And
do you feel like that you do it for the money, or do you do it for some other reason?
No, the money is, I was sidetracked early in my college days with, I want a big, boat, and I want a big house and all this. And, and there's nothing wrong with having nice things, right? But it's where you put the excess of your money, right? Where are you giving your money to, right? The money is a great tool. It is an awesome tool. There's gospel patrons out there that just believe in successful business people that want to fund the people that want to spread the mission out there, right? So you can do that with money. Everything out there takes money. So there has to be a reason why you're doing it besides just money. Money is a tool that makes this world go around.
Now, money is a tool that makes the world go around, but you can also become a tool of the money.
That's right.
I see a lot of people that never see their family, never talk to their wife, never do anything they enjoy, all for the love of money. What tips would you have out there? I would like to give you the floor, Bucky, and then I'll give Dr. Breck the floor, and then Jason as we wrap up today's show. Do you have any book recommendations that you'd recommend, Bucky, or any other tips you want to share with our listeners? Because we've broken down the words of wisdom from Napoleon Hill, but I wanted to help personify these words of wisdom by bringing in some real entrepreneurs into the room that actually live it every day. Do you have any other tips or book recommendations for our listeners out there today?
There's a couple books I recommend. The Goal by Eli Goldratt. It talks about the theory of constraint. You're only as fast as your slowest process. So when you're doing business or anything that you're doing, you can only go as fast as your slowest process, right? So if you can improve those, it's constant improvement. Another great book I've just recently been reading and finished up is The Richest Man Who Ever Lived. It was based upon King Solomon, the richest man that's ever lived, right? Mm-hmm. And it takes the principles out of Proverbs and applies it to really real life, how you can make it a practical work plan. Mm-hmm. And it's a great book.
And what was that? What was that last book there?
The Richest Man Who Ever Lived.
I've read this book. Is it filled with a ton of Proverbs too?
It is.
Yes, I've read this book, and it was referred to me by my friend Braxton Fears. A very, very good book there. Dr. Breck, what are your final tips you'd have and or book recommendations for all the listeners out there who are looking to not just study success, but they want to become successful?
Yeah, I think part of it would be to, really sit down and think about what it is that you want to create. Start with the end in mind, and then kind of reverse engineer and, see where that point is out in space and what steps you need to take to get to that point. So you've got to know where you're going before you can have a map to get there. And so I think that's important, just like you were talking about your goals here on the wall and kind of this overriding guide.
Yep.
You need to have an objective that you're shooting for. And early on in my career, I had taken on other people's versions of success for me. They weren't my own. So whether that was parents, that was friends' expectations, mentors' expectations, there were certain things that I was trying to do that didn't really resonate with me because they weren't mine.
You're in a dangerous spot right now, too. Mm-hmm. There's two danger zones when you're a business owner.
Yeah.
Danger zone one is that you might not make it when you're starting, just getting over the hump.
Sure.
But you're in a danger zone now because you have a waiting list that's how long?
I think 7 or 8 weeks. Yeah.
And if you're not careful, you will let other people, myself included, push you to do what we want to do and not do what you want to do. And I'll
Right,
just give an
yeah.
example. I've met a lot of doctors, a lot. I remember I DJ'd a Christmas party years ago for a guy in Tulsa who's very successful. One of the cool things about DJing is I got a chance to meet the leaders of companies.
Right.
So I always get there 2 or 3 hours ahead of time to talk to, like the head of Quick Trip or the head of
Sure.
UPS or the head of FedEx. And I'm there. I was talking to this guy and I said, you got to feel special. I mean, today, it's got to feel awesome with hundreds of employees. You're running this hospital. And he says, hey, kid, I was probably 25, 26. He says, kid, you're happier than I am. And I'm like, whoa. What do you mean? He goes, a lot of these people, man, I don't like them. I work 7 days a week. I travel all around the country to these different hospitals. And I got like 2 more years till I can get out of here. And I'm like, wow. So why are you here? He's like, I have to be. It's obligation. We started talking about obligations.
Right.
And for whatever reason, he opened up to me. And we had a very powerful conversation that helped me a lot.
Yeah, it's huge.
Because my company at the time, DJ Connection, was growing so much. I was growing because the teammates wanted me to grow. We were growing because we could. And just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right.
And
Jurassic
so
Park.
that's what's that?
Jurassic Park.
True. You don't want your life to become a Jurassic Park.
Right. Well, and that's something one of my mentors did tell me early on was whatever you create, you have to then feed. So, if you're going to create a monster, you got to feed the monster. And you better like it. Otherwise, you're feeding a monster you've created and you don't like. So you end up with like Frankenstein's monster. And so that's one of those things where you need to know what success means to you, what it is you want, what the balance is. Because one of the things, I think I've said it before, but one of my mentors early on, he was with his fourth wife, and I kind of suddenly realized, hey, if I want to do things the way he did, I'm also going to be married to my fourth wife at some point. And that's not really what I want. I want to be married to my first wife, whom I love, and do this differently. And
Now,
maybe
let's say
his version of success isn't the same as mine.
Now, let's say you're listening right now and you're on wife 2 or wife 3 or business 2 or business 3, whatever. It's all about where you're going and not where you've been from, where you came from. And I think a lot of times we get stuck in this loop of being like, I started a business and it failed. Had a marriage and it failed. And we get stuck in the narrative that I can't win, that you can't win, that we can't win. And I just encourage you, this Valentine's Day, love yourself. Give yourself the encouragement that you have what it takes to get to where you want to go. I know you do. My hope on this show is each and every day we give you applicable words of knowledge, nuggets of knowledge, profound, deep thoughts, a little bit of humor there. But we want to provide you with the mentorship that you desperately need. In a world that's passionately going the wrong way, we encourage you to listen to this show and to write down, take notes and ask yourself, how can I apply the things I've learned on today's show? Jason, is there any final tip you want to give the listeners out there? Because you coach with a lot of business owners who are doing very, very well now.
Yeah.
But many of which were not doing well when we first met them, before the 13-point assessment and before you guided them down the path. What would be a tip you'd give to all the listeners out there?
Well, the first tip is on March 7th of 2011, Charlie Sheen tweeted his infamous tweet, "I invented Tulsa, Oklahoma, ... in my sleep." So that's where that came from. No idea why.
Is that a tip for you? Is that your tip?
Yeah, that was at 10:48 a.m. So my tip is just as it relates to books that you recommend.
Yeah.
I just started re-listening through The Subtle Art of Not Giving Enough for the third time.
Oh, by Mark Manson?
Because I remember
that's a
I
powerful book.
listened to that when I first started coaching. Because I came in, I chatted with you and John
Book is
and
powerful.
Marshall and Chup and everybody. But once I started getting clients, I started realizing I was caring so much about what everybody else thought about what I was doing. It was making me a bad coach.
Yeah, and the problem, again, that book is just so good. The book at its core is about this. If you're a dad and you want to protect your kids from indoctrination from a corrupt world, somebody at some point is not going to like it. If you're a husband and you want to protect your marriage from temptation and things that shouldn't happen, at some point someone's not going to like it. If you want to be intentional about only surrounding your family with positive things, at some point someone's not going to like it. If you want to stand up for your presidential candidate, at some point someone's not going to like it. If you want to be fastidious about how you manage your calendar, at some point someone's not going to like it. If you want to hold yourself accountable to certain standards of who gets to come over to your house and who doesn't, at some point somebody won't like it. And the only way to avoid criticism, according to Aristotle, is to say nothing, do nothing, and be nothing. Right. Now, according to Mark Manson, the author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, he points out that the only way for you to make everybody happy is to do nothing as well. So he encourages you to not give an F when people are expressing their negativity about your path and your mission.
Right.
And Jason, we like to end each and every show with a boom. Are you prepared?
I'm so ready.
And here we go. These mics are super sensitive, so we have to take a giant step back for mankind before we hit the boom button here. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom! What if you could gain access to download each and every book that I've ever written for free?
Well, that'd be terrible, because I don't like you.
Okay, we're making a big assumption here. But assuming that you do like me and you like the Thrivetime Show, you can now go to thrivetimeshow.com/free-resources. That's thrivetimeshow.com/free-resources to download each and every book that I've ever written for free. You can download the ebook version of each and every book that I've ever written for free.
Clay, I just want to chime in here real quick. I don't like you or capitalism. I feel like we should all get free stuff.
Well, I am in the process of explaining where you can get free stuff. And you can now also download all the helpful infographics. There's infographics on Firing 101, the perfect hiring system, the principles from Ray Dalio, Internet Marketing 101, the Lead Bin Management System, Managing Humans 101, Logo Creation 101, Why Google Loves WordPress, Time Management 101. We also have an incredible infographic about the importance of calling your leads often, because the average person no longer answers their phone unless they are called multiple times and unless they receive a text from you. We also have the importance of File Nomenclature 101, Sales Lead Conversion 101, and much, much more. And it's all available for you to download for free right now by going to thrivetimeshow.com.
Are you suggesting that I should have to move my body?
Yes.
This is for free. Isn't there a way you could just beam it? I mean, why do I have to move my body?
Because
typing causes me anxiety.
Whatever.
Which is why I would never go to thrivetimeshow.com.
Come on.
/free-resources. I would never go to thrivetimeshow.com. /free-resources.
All right, let me clarify. If you have the capacity to move your fingers, go to thrivetimeshow.com /free-resources to download an ebook version of every single Amazon best-selling book I've ever written and all the infographics that have the power to change your life.
Hi there, my name is Stephanie Pipkin. I am 24 years old and I own Black River Falls Cleaning Services. We opened in April of 2019 and it is now mid-June of 2020. So I wanted to talk today about the success and growth I have achieved by implementing the Proven Path with Clay Clark's team and my business coach Luke from Thrivetime. It has been insane to say the least. I started working with them in mid-February of this year, so we're about 4 months in of working together, and it has completely transformed my business in pretty much every facet. So I'm gonna check my notes here. So in 4 months, my leads have tripled. I was getting probably like 2 leads a week. Now I'm getting more in the like 10 to 15 leads a week. I have doubled my number of employees. I'm now hitting the highest revenue weeks in the history of the company, week to week it seems like. We went from about 6 appointments today as our highest in February to now 14 to 15 appointments a day. And hiring quality employees has become much simpler and less stressful by using their systems for hiring. I typically only get maybe 2 complaints a month, if that, and everybody shows up to work. I just have really high quality employees now, especially in something people typically consider a high turnover type of work, you know, cleaning houses, cleaning businesses. I have amazing employees now, and I get rid of the ones who are not so amazing and bring on new ones because of, you know, group interviews and interviewing every single week. It's just been great, and such I don't waste as much time on low quality candidates anymore. And your coach will hold you accountable. I mean, which I love. Again, the tough love is really great. You know, Luke's like a stern father figure, but he's also nice, but also stern when he needs to be, when I'm being lazy and not doing the things that I know I need to do because I don't want to do them. So that's just great. Worth every penny. I mean, I'd pay him $1 million a month if I can, and maybe someday I'll be able to, but I would just say go for it. If it seems like a good fit, just go for it. Do what they say, even if you think it's stupid or ridiculous, just do what they say because it'll work. You know, people, when they look at my business, you know, people in my town, they think I'm lucky. They think I'm just, you know, things just happen for me. And, you know, maybe I am lucky, but it has a lot to do with hard work and, you know, perseverance and, you know, working till you cry sometimes. That's just being an entrepreneur, which if you're a business owner, you understand that. But it's having these systems in place of, you know, of course I'm going to be successful. It's an absolute because I have all this stuff in the background happening, and I have Luke and Clay and everybody on their team working really hard to make sure that I'm a success. And I can tell that they are just so excited every single week when I'm having all these wins and things like that. They're so excited for me. So it's the best thing ever, and I would suggest to anybody to work with them. So sorry for the long-winded reply, but I just had so much to say, and I could go on for hours probably about how amazing they are. But thank you to Clay and Luke and the entire team there, everything you guys have done for me, and I am so excited to continue to work with you for years to come. Thanks so much for watching.
My saying is, if it's important to you, hire a coach. And I think that's one of the reasons people are not successful is they eat a cheeseburger instead of hiring a coach. You know what I mean? And so my coach pushes me. They're younger than me. They push harder. They're trained. And as my rich dad always said, you know, amateurs don't have a coach, but professionals always have coaches. So I've always had coaches for whatever is important. You know, my rich dad was one of those persons. I wanted to learn how to play Monopoly in real life, so he was my coach.
Well, Carter, you know, we have an opportunity here at the Thrivetime Show to work with some really great business owners, people that are actually serious about growing their company. They go to thrivetimeshow.com and they reach out to schedule a free 13-point assessment. And oftentimes I hop on the phone with these folks and we figure out if they're a good fit. And once we start working with a client, our goal is to help the client to actually grow their actual business. And on today's show, we're joined with a man who we've had the opportunity to work with. The company's called NWA Gutter Perfection. And my understanding, Carter, is that they're up over 60%. Is that right?
I would say that's correct, yes.
DJ, welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
Good. How you doing, Clay?
I'm doing great. So for anybody out there who is doubting whether you're a hologram or not, what's the name of your company, sir?
Gutter Perfection.
How did you guys first hear about us? Do you know?
It's actually a friend of mine found out about your business conferences there, and then we went there, and I guess I was sold the first conference we went to.
If you go to nwagutterperfection.com, you can see they're a real company. They're a real business. They really are growing. What markets do you service there, DJ? For people out there that might be looking for your services, what's the market area that you service?
Pretty much all in Northwest Arkansas, Bentonville, Springdale, Fayetteville, Rogers, you know, the little surrounding towns there too.
And again, if you go to the website here, folks, nwagutterperfection.com, you can see they are a real business, real people having real success. DJ, I really do appreciate your time today, sir, and we'll talk to you soon.
What I've seen from Clay and his group at Thrive is they'll give you a simple system, and it's the simple systems are the ones that people can wrap their brain around. They're the ones that people can work with on a day-to-day basis. And that simplicity brings power with it. So it shocked me how simple some of the stuff is. And at times I'm like, why didn't I think about that? Workflow creation, systematic marketing, and coaching has helped our church so much. You know, the workflow creation is what it really is they're gonna look and see every moving part of your church, of your ministry, what needs to be done. And it's gonna go up on a massive board. And so now what it does is it takes what you know needs to be done out of your heart and out of your head really takes the pressure, the stress off your shoulders, and it puts it on the board where your entire team, your ministry can see exactly what you want them to do every day. And so they know this is the playbook, this is what we're doing. And then there's laser sharp accountability with a meeting afterwards. Did it get done or not?
Clay, you're an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur. And as they say in Stoic, the obstacle is the way. I think YouTube is a tremendous educational platform for good and bad. So you've got to really again choose your teachers wisely, as anything else. So the best lesson that sits in the back here, and I think you do it and Dr. Z does it. Once you learn something, if you really want to learn it, you got to teach it.
I think it's life-changing for me and how I approach business. Could you explain Octa, non-verba, what it means and how our listeners can apply it?
Clay, you gave me goosebumps, man. I'm glad it hit you as hard as it did. Octa non-verba is the motto of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, New York. I had appointments with Naval Academy and Kings Point Merchant Marine Academy. And Merchant Marine Academy's motto was Octa non-verba. In other words, don't listen to what a person says. Watch what they do.
Well, the first time that I ever met you, Clay, was at that first conference in Tulsa. And that was an incredible conference. And I was so impressed with just the whole thing, just the professionalism, you as a person, your business, your work ethic, and really just who you are. And I was very impressed with all of that. And I thought, gosh, this might be someone that I would really consider working with. Like maybe he could really help me. And that's really what got me interested, because I was so impressed with just the professionalism of all of it. And I learned a lot. I come about once a year to a business conference, and I'd like to come more, but every year I try to come with my marketing girl with me. And we always learn something. And I think next year I'm going to bring my husband because he really needs to come too.
And you're in McKinney, Texas, right? So how long have you been an orthodontist in McKinney, Texas?
So I've been an orthodontist for 26 years, practicing in McKinney.
And when you went to medical school, what percentage of the time in medical school or dental school, did they spend teaching you how to market and or grow your own practice?
Absolutely zero marketing skills.
Okay. And from when I talked to Andrew, you're the coach who works with you, I'm always hearing that more and more patients are coming in from Google. Could you talk about that? How much of an impact does it have having maybe a rebranded or updated website and Google leads coming in?
It has had a huge difference, absolutely huge difference in our patient load coming in. And, before I really wasn't tracking really well. And that's one of the things I learned from Thrivetime Business was how to track patients coming in, how to really, how to see where they're coming from. And at the time, I really didn't know much about Google. And, being an orthodontist for 26 years, I didn't really know a lot I kind of went through a time where I went through shock. It was really what I call culture shock, because the old ways of marketing were not working anymore. And because I really didn't know about online marketing, I was still doing, phone book ads and magazine ads and all of these things. And so Thrivetime has really helped. And I will say that it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you stay the course, you're going to see results, because I'm absolutely convinced.
Dr. Christ, thank you for allowing us to take up some of your valuable time today. I really do appreciate you. And I can't wait to see you in person here soon.
All right. Thanks so much, Clay.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay is the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Okay, Aaron Antis, March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th, guess who's coming to Tulsa, Jerusalem?
Ooh, Santa Claus?
No, that's March 6th and 7th. We're going to be joined by Robert Kiyosaki. Best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Probably the best-selling, or one of the best-selling business authors of all time. And he's going to be joined with Eric Trump. He'll be joined by Eric Trump. So we got Eric Trump, and Robert Kiyosaki in the same place.
In the same place.
Aaron, why should everybody show up to hear Robert Kiyosaki?
Well, you got billions of dollars of business experience between those two, not to mention many, many, many millions of books have been sold. Many, many millionaires have been made from the books that have been sold by Robert Kiyosaki. I happen to be one of them. I learned from the man. He was the inspiration. That book was the inspiration for me to get the entrepreneurial spirit, as many other people.
Now, since you won't brag on yourself, I will. You've sold billions of dollars of houses, am I correct?
That is true.
And the book that kickstarted it all for you,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the author, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, the guy that kickstarted your career.
Yeah.
He's going to be here.
He's going to be here. I'm pumped.
And now Eric Trump, people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. There's not 50 employees. The Trump organization, again, most people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. And while Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of these United States and soon to be the 47th president of these United States, he needed someone to run the companies for him. And so the man that runs the Trump organization for Donald J. Trump, as he was the 45th president of the United States and now the 47th president of the United States, is Eric Trump. And so Eric Trump is here to talk about time management, promoting from within, marketing, branding, quality control, sales systems, workflow design, workflow mapping, how to build. I mean, everything that you see, the Trump hotels, the Trump golf courses, all their products, the man who manages billions of dollars of real estate and thousands of employees is here to teach us how to do it.
You are talking about one of the greatest brands on the planet from a business standpoint.
Right.
I mean, who else has been able to create a brand like the Trump brand? I mean, look at it. And this is the man behind the business for the last pretty much since 2015. He's been the man behind it. So you're talking, we're into 9 going into 10 years of him running it. And we get to tap into that knowledge. That's going to be amazing.
This is objectively the highest rated and most reviewed business workshop on the planet. And then you add to that Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You add to that Eric Trump, the man that runs the Trump organization. You add to that Sean Baker. Now you might take, but Clay, is there more? I need more. Well, okay, Tom Wheelwright is the wealth strategist for Robert Kiyosaki. So people say, Robert Kiyosaki, who's his financial wealth advisor? Who's the guy who manages, who's his wealth strategist? His wealth strategist, Tom Wheelwright, will be here. And you say, Clay, I'm not going to get a ticket unless you give me more. Okay, fine. We're going to serve you the same meal both days. True story. We cater in the food, and because I keep it simple, I literally bring in the same food both days for lunch. It's Ted Escondido's, an incredible Mexican restaurant. That's going to happen. And Jill Donovan, our good friend, who is the founder of Rustic Cuff. She started that company in her home, and now she sells millions of dollars of apparel and products. That's rusticcuff.com. And someone says, I want more. This is not enough.
Give me more.
Okay. I'm not going to mention their names right now because I'm working on it behind the scenes here. But we've got one guy who's given me a verbal to be here. And this is a guy who's one of the wealthiest people in Oklahoma, and nobody really knows who he is because he's built systems that are very utilitarian, that offer a lot of value. He's made a lot of money in it's where you rent. It's short term. It's where you're renting storage spaces. He's a storage space guy. He owns what do you call that? The rental,
storage space.
Storage units. This guy owns storage units. He owns railroad cars. He owns a lot of assets that make money on a daily basis, but they're not like customer facing. Most people don't know who owns the mini storage facility, or most people don't know who owns the warehouse that's passively making money. Most people don't know who owns the railroad cars, but this guy, he's given me a verbal that he will be here, and we just continue to add more and more success stories. So if you're out there today and you want to change your life, you want to give yourself an incredible gift, you want a life-changing experience, you want to learn how to start and grow a company, go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go there right now, thrivetimeshow.com. Request a ticket for the 2-day interactive event. Again, the day here is March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th. We just got confirmation. Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He'll be here. Eric Trump, the man who leads the Trump organization. It's going to be a blasty blast. There's no upsells. Aaron, I could not be more excited about this event.
I think it is incredible. And there's somebody out there right now, you're watching and you're like, but I already signed up for this incredible other program called Smoke Your Way to Thin. I think that's going to change your life. I promise you, this will be 10 times better than that.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking.
Now, don't do the Smoke Your Way to Thin conference. That is, I've tried it. Don't do it.
Yeah, chain smoking is not a viable. I mean, it is life-changing. It is life-changing. If you become a chain smoker, it is life-changing.
Not the best weight loss program, though.
Right, really. So if you're looking to have life-changing results in a way that won't cause you to have a stoma, get your tickets at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's Aaron Antis. I'm Clay Clark, and reminding you and inviting you to come out to the 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show workshop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I promise you, it will be a life-changing experience. We can't wait to see you right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.